Item 4.
Okay, why do I have something different about my head? Oh, no, that's right.
Oh, thank you.
What was your, do you want to talk about this thing?
So the agenda?
It is kind of stuff. No, if you have multiple things, I'll put you in my email. As opposed to right at.
When you just.
So I need to log in. So is there?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Archibald.
Yes, I can.
What's up, Brian? Good, good.
Brian could actually watch us.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Brian, are you watching us?
Are you watching us too?
Okay, good, good.
Yeah, it was better when I was looking at Aaron instead of Scott. Yes, I can see y'all. Yeah, I see right. That's even better. Oh, we have the accounting spot. That's even better. Actually, we got the credits over there on the right. I love it.
I'm uncomfortable with this thing. Do you have Beatrice's cell phone?
Yeah.
Her phone here?
Here, I'll call.
Oh.
Yes, right now we do that. Oh, that's right. Yeah. How's my arm start? That's, yeah. All right.
We're awake.
Line up on the 23rd.
See you guys. Absolutely. You're all welcome. Everybody's welcome.
We can have a meeting, we can't vote on it. We were waiting for one more person to make a quorum, but apparently there was a wicked accident over by the 405 and it's closing things down.
I could vote. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the one.
We're done.
Scott, I have less than a quorum of a body of peers at a notice meeting. The body may either meet as a committee or adjourn to a future date pursuant to the provisions of section.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't meet as a committee though, because it wasn't noticed as a committee meeting.
Well, but if you look at that, it says we can meet as a committee.
Can you conference in it?
Huh?
Can you be conferenced in?
Well, we have 2 people already.
Yeah, but they have to be within the physical location. Boundaries, regional boundaries.
She's like,
Right there.
Birmingham.
No, but she can. She has to be.
Yeah, she can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not.
Daniel, is that bylaws? Where did you get that?
Government. Okay, government. I'm actually looking at it.
Don't tell me the women who run the election. League of Women Voters. No?
California League of Cities?
California Attorney General.
Oh, come on.
I try not to.
Monday, Wednesday,
That's right. We did do that.
Huh?
You're one of the members here.
Oh, that's right. I have a calling.
Yeah. What more you would have?
That didn't happen.
That really did happen.
I don't remember.
No, we're not recording it.
Just wiped out your no ear now. Yeah, we have orange theory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Awkward.
course she is.
Started for November. Yeah, exactly.
Did I trade you the cheese and something for peanut butter? No?
No deal.
I don't know, that's something.
My student.
Like basically just telling them. We're pretty much like.
Oh my God.
Well, you can always have fun coloring. That's a good chair. She's so cute. No.
Rubik's Cube.
Oh, Liam loves them. It's like a genius.
Liam has a baby one. Oh my gosh. Who knows? Who knows?
That's called that for a full year. Most of them say it's full year. Sometimes. Like Friday, Saturday, it's usually
Stop making bridges.
Like fidget spinner.
Saying that's like well, sometimes there was 2 months where they practiced high school.
Is that a?
From here, we drove like we rotated practices at all the way from 7 to 9.
That's so cool.
And instead we would practice Belgians. And instead they would practice
Right now.
go home, get
You have
something.
patience. So small.
I guess they don't have enough for a quorum. Is that supposed to happen?
They can't, they don't have enough for a meeting to start.
Brian is online. That's enough. Oh, so I think that we.
He's almost done with
Is that your favorite color?
Now we can.
Those are I bet, could you do this? This picture. There's apparently a secret to it. Hard. I played some YouTube videos from him, but it's kind of 7. Yeah, maybe. There's apparently some kind of mathematical. Yeah. You can learn how to do it. Yeah.
Well, I think we lost it and then we
Join
can.
my sister.
I'll be able to see.
Hopefully that's what it should be.
Oh my gosh. Is it open on both ends? Yeah. That's why I had it. It went quick.
We double up.
The academic for CSD. And so the CSD had a bunch of questions, but it was the same answer. So that's what it kind of felt like. In my mind, some of the
Roller skater.
they asked us to do. I quoted those until I heard them. But for now, we can switch to be You're out there.
So we can't start until we have a quorum. That's one more person.
Let me, I'll look at it.
You got
Yeah, mango.
second court.
Put yours and mine up on
It's
the
not a flower?
We'll start going back and forth and see.
No, she must be very close because when she called, she was body for Birmingham. That was about 15 minutes ago.
I noticed in some of mine, I started talking about it once.
Mr. Pence.
How do you know it's not missing?
They start tomorrow. Yesterday was pretty just, they've really gone over everything, so they just need to prepare, you know.
When Nate came, we had one integration coordinator. And now we had one instructor for 1 period. And now we've got, yeah, so.
Do you want me to write it in? I'll write it in this color and you type it.
We already talked about one of the changes next year and started talking about it. That's not even, you know, one of ours at least is like, because I just get tired sometimes. I throw it on the paper first. I've redone that thing before.
Oh, yeah, you can kiss
Yeah. Yeah, let's sit down. I'll put them on both my screens and start looking at it.
Looks like you do a lot of
Ours has a lot of overlap. Tomorrow first.
Yeah.
But then I was starting thinking that the first step down dots not doing the date. Pets isn't a major change.
Oh, you know.
We want to talk about it, maybe talk about it yourself.
Whatever you ask for.
You still have all yourself above board? Yeah, okay.
Whenever you're reading it, I've seen that 3 times too, trying to get my thoughts in order. And it's like, after a while, you're like, yeah, no, I just got that. I want to get it.
Small, very personal stuff.
I can see it.
It's a lot, dude.
Yeah, no.
I might steal some of his just to let some of
What I'm saying is, we could probably pull it out. If we're going to maybe go more depth in this section, we'll just put the salient points in mind. And then
we also don't want to
we'll,
repeat
you know, we'll flush it out of yours. So some of this stuff, I think mine's old. But I just started writing. I just started doing stuff. And I think we should change it up a little bit. That's why I think we need to spend more time.
Yeah.
Well, let me,
They asked you. I mean, I happened to.
but it's only. Really?
Come on over with me.
Scrolling message. Neither am I, but I happen to be the letter was posted on the website. And so I noticed the scrolling message and I thought, like, is that it said board meeting today? I'll do the agenda, but I never really know. Oh, I love it so much.
I think we're.
She just parked. We're close.
I don't have. I can't speak intelligent enough on that set. So that's what I'm saying. We part.
Oh, next year? Next semester. Oh, it's like, oh. They changed it.
That is awesome. Love that. We don't have any straight in school.
It's like a little easy extra pressure. That's all. And he will do the same for me. Oh, boy. No.
You're gonna go what?
I make a motion to recess. Oh.
Motion to adjourn? You know when you're ready, Scott.
I want to welcome you to the December 17, 2019 meeting of the El Camino Real Charter High School Board of Directors. The time now is, what is that, 5:30. And this meeting is in order. First up, Mr. Cheng.
Beatrice Chen,
Here.
Brian Archibald,
Here.
Darren Ryburn,
Here.
Gregory Basile,
Here.
Jeff Davis,
Here.
Kenneth Lee is not here, Scott Silverstein,
Here.
Stephen Copal.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum now. The Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment? Again, if I call you and you want to speak at the time of the item that comes up on the agenda, just let me know. So first up, no, that's this address. Do you want to talk now or?
Yes,
Okay,
I will speak now.
all right.
Hi everybody, my name is Veronica Alcaraz and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Friends of ECR. And we're here to speak for item number 4, C, D, and E. Maybe you guys can take a look at that. It's in regards to the management salary position for communications marketing coordinator. And so we'll start with that. So we want to say that we do, we're for it because we do feel that it is a direct, there's a direct correlation between the communication between the school and the community in regards to enrollment and building the school spirit. So we feel that if we had somebody on campus, we, as our board, wouldn't have so much, it wouldn't be so difficult to be able to communicate the things that we want to the parent and to the student and to the teacher. So, so we're for that. We're also for the bus pass program to continue. We feel that that has improved attendance and raised our numbers. And it's not only about the ADA, but we believe that it's also great for the student, right? To be able to have a school that supports them and to be able to bus them into to their campus. And then lastly, we also are for the increasing the psychiatric social worker schedule and hours. Again, it's a benefit for the school, mainly for the students, due to, I think, with all the increased school violence that's been going on, and also the easy access to drugs and things that are that we find that they're encountering at this age. It's really necessary for our school to be able to have somebody here full time. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Forrest.
Hi, I'm Helen Forrest. I'm also one of the presidents of Friends of ECR. I'm working on the behalf of lots of parents, not just our board. I would also like to say we would strongly encourage the board to vote no to the, what is it, 4B, because just morally you should, and really communications marketing person on campus would be amazing for both the administrators, the school, the kids, the parents, for everybody. It'd make everybody's life a lot easier. And last, sorry, I would like to also say with the, for E, increasing the hours of our social workers would give us also access to interns that don't cost us anything. So that somebody needs to be here full time to supervise them. So if we get a full-time social worker, we also get the added benefit of getting interns here that can work with groups and help kids out, and it doesn't cost the school anything, which is awesome. And my very last thing I'd like to say is on governance, so skipping down again, the seat to be filled for the LAUSD seat, if they decide not to fill it themselves, we would really like it to be a parent representative, seeing as we have over 6,000 parents that need representing in this school, and that's actually something that would be really important. And maybe we could have a look at the demographics of the board and maybe select somebody that also represents the demographics of the school. Might be really nice as well. So just a thought, and that would also include any person named for removal from the LAUSD MOU is disqualified from running as well, just as a putting it out there. So,
So you repeat that?
Yeah.
no, you want to say it?
Yeah, that any person who was named for removal from this board on the LAUSD Memorandum of Understanding, which is in effect until our charter expires, should be disqualified from running for the board position.
What she said.
Like past member, past board member.
It's not past board members, but it's members.
That were
There's a
That were
different.
named.
difference.
Oh, then for me.
They're named in the MOU,
Yeah.
so they should be disqualified from running.
Yes, but we would very much like that to be another parent representative for the 6,000 parents that need representing at this school. So, and that's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carter. You want to speak? I guess you can speak now. Yeah.
I'll speak now. Hi, my name is Amy Carter. I'm a teacher here. So first, I would like to thank you all for your support with the Safe Storage Resolution and supporting our efforts to prevent gun violence. And then second, I'd like to urge you to vote yes on continuing the Bus Pass program. I know that many of my students benefit from this program, and it's helping them to get to school on time. I think it's especially important now that over 50% of our student population resides outside of our boundaries. And then second, I'd also like to urge you to vote yes on increasing our psychiatric social workers schedule. So Joanna Johnston is a really amazing addition to our school, and she's helping our students so much already. But with 3,600 students, we really need her here 5 days a week. We probably need more than one, but I'll get there later. This will also help prevent violence in our school and in our community, as well as improve our students' overall mental health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to talk now or later?
I have, Robert has ceded
I know.
time to me for his item. I'd like to speak now.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Mr. Atkins if you're going to give your 2 minutes. Mr. Atkins is going to give 2 minutes to Ms. Zane.
Thank you.
3 minutes, sorry.
Thank you, board members, and our administration for allowing me to speak today. I want to strongly encourage the board to vote no on item 4B, the resolution regarding enrollment. I feel it has language in it that could be a possible violation of our charter. I've emailed all the board members some other items that I feel very strongly about. I hope that you've had an opportunity to review them and consider them. I don't know what the effect of this resolution would be either way. My biggest fear is that it's going to create a battle that we don't need to do. It's either going to be a battle between us and LAUSD, or a battle between El Camino and community members who have a rightful expectation of their children, that El Camino has responsibilities to their education because they live within what is identified currently with LAUSD as the school of residence. So please vote no. The wording is, it's a commitment to our enrolled students, and I would encourage you to vote yes on the next 3 items, which is an actual commitment to our enrolled students, paying for the bus passes, hiring somebody and approving their salary to be responsible for improving the communications at our school and increasing the hours of our psychiatric social workers.
Do you want to speak on something else later?
I want to speak, I turned in mine. I would have questions about the financials, but I'll wait until after the presentation because it may get answered.
All right. Catherine Schrader.
Catherine's never spoken at a board meeting before. This is my friend and neighbor. I sold her a home in this community based upon the excellent recommendation of El Camino Real as a high school that her children could potentially could attend. And she would like to speak no against item 4B, and she's going to share some of her comments.
Hi, thank you for listening to me. We do have toured the school because actually next year would be the decision, or this year would be the decision to go next year to El Camino or stay put place where we are at. My son is currently enrolled in Summit View in the Valley. It took 4 years of schools, 2 years of intense IP regulations, and him failing for 2 years, 2 suicide attempts. And just knowing what it takes to have a severe dyslexic child with a lot of dysfunctioning placed in a special school like Summit View with personal or private assessments that you pay out of pocket, with lawyers that you need to take to go all the way to LAUSD, and seeing what my child has accomplished in these 5 years that he is now at Summit View. Thinking about it, that it is not my choice or not the IEP meeting or the IEP team's input anymore to say he needs to stay put where he's at, and LAUSD having that my German brain kicks in. So basically what I'm trying to say is I would rather have the IEP team and LAUSD, what is the battle right now, every year, because he's getting assessed. He has IEP meetings every year, and he's doing a reassessment and re-evaluation right now if he's ready to get placed into public school. I would rather like them to decide this than having to come here, have my child fail again, maybe another suicide attempt because he feels worthless, and that's not being able to keep up. So I hope that you understand that I would like to not walk this walk with somebody else again and just leave it in the same hands, and that's why my concern goes that I'm saying yes against this, no against, I'm saying, oh my gosh.
Please vote no.
Please vote no on the resolution, because I'm having a concern for a lot of kids that have those special needs, and they need those schools, and they need to be stay put where they're at, or at least being taken off the system by the people that placed them there, and not by somebody else making a decision. Thank you.
Citrus.
Hi. So my name is Sasha Endres, and I'm not only a teacher, but I'm also the intervention coordinator here at our school. For the last 3 months, I've worked closely with students, parents, and staff on the bus passes. And I'm here today to give you just a brief perspective of what it's been like as we get ready to vote on this agenda item for the next semester. For the last 3 months, I've had the privilege to hand over 200 bus passes to our free and reduced lunch students. I've gotten to know them and their families, and I've had an opportunity to see an increase not only in their GPA, but also an improvement in attendance for these students. However, the best thing that has come out of the program is not just their GPA or attendance, but it is how appreciative both their parents and the students are. Although I can agree that these are important things for our school when it comes to the GPA and attendance, it is the student and the community appreciation towards our school for providing these bus passes that has been the biggest reward. When we pass out the tap cards to the kids, the faces light up. They are so thankful that they no longer need to wonder how they're going to pay for their bus or how they're going to get to school and back home. Voting yes and continuing the bus pass initiative goes beyond what the school may or may not get back in returns. Voting yes to continue to provide the bus passes is voting yes on supporting our ever-changing school community, because that's what our students deserve. They deserve a school that will care for them and support them. So thank you for caring for our students and voting yes on the bus passes. And I also have a letter that a student wrote that I want to give to you guys. that you can read on your own time. I asked her to please not write her name, but she's in my AP class, and she was really concerned that the school was not going to continue the bus passes for next semester. So she wanted you guys to know how much she appreciates it and how much she needs it. So I'll give that to you guys for you to read. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public speakers? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Thank you for your comments. Then we go to item 1E, which is Executive Director Update. Mr. Hussey.
Right, so one thing I've been working on, I reached out to LA Parks and Recs, the aquatics division, about getting a pool, or getting usage of a pool for our water polo teams and our swim and diving team. They called back. So there's 3 ways that we could possibly get a pool usage with Park and Rec. One is a budget item, which needs a major motion from the city council to open a pool. So that would be working with a council member to get it on the city council docket to get that passed. I spoke to Mr. Silverstein. I'll be reaching out to Council Member Blumenfield to follow up on that possibility. The other option is a joint use agreement. That's where the city and the school agreed to open up a pool. So an example of this would be like Eagle Rock. They gave me an example, Eagle Rock High School, the park next to Eagle Rock. They go over to the pool and use it. And then there's a permit. We could get a permit. And the closest pool to us is Cleveland High School, so we could get a permit at Cleveland High School. And he said he would work on us if we wanted that permit. I would like to reach out to Mr. Councilmember Blumenfield to see if we can get the Woodland Hills pool, because it's a lot closer for our parents, our students, and more convenient. And then I'll be working on getting the cost for each of these to see what the financial impact would be.
I spoke to his office about this, and that pool is already plumbed for a heater. It doesn't have a heater, it doesn't have a lifeguard or staff.
I think in conjunction, I mean, we wouldn't be the only school that would use it. I'm gonna reach out, once I get numbers, I'll reach out to Taft High School because they don't have a pool. I'll reach out to Cleveland, I'll reach out to Louisville. I don't know what Chatsworth's case is, but I know they probably go to a different pool as well.
They did. They used to, yes.
So I'll see if we can get more schools as a conglomerate to lower the cost and see if we can keep the pool open year round.
That's what the councilman wants. He wants it open year round, he wants it open to the public. With the understanding that the schools will be using it.
Right, I mean, we would probably use in the afternoon. I mean, most of the schools would use in the afternoon. Next thing, one staff member spearheaded, but we're going to dedicate the IEP room to Diane Wynn, and we'll be working on raising money to purchase a plaque for the room. I think that'd be a good thing for her and her family to dedicate that room, since she spent so much time here as an aide and as a board member. So we'll be working on that. Facilities update. I reached out to M&O again today with regards to the CCTV system. I'm still waiting a response from them. I believe it's been a month since my last request to get a quote. I did also send an email to board member Schmerlison to see if he could help us out with this, because I don't think it should take a month to get a quote for installation of a camera system. So I'll keep the board updated on that. Next, B15. As you know, there's no heating in this room. LAUSD is getting another contractor because the previous contractor could not fix it. So they're getting another contractor to have a temporary fix for the heating system. This should be done during winter breaks. So we should have temporary heating after winter break. As a school, we did purchase heaters for classroom teachers, so we had to purchase heaters because our classrooms were not heated. So we had an expense for that. If you didn't hear, we had a fire down in our alt-ed area, so our last classroom / office. LAUSD has taken samples to see if there's any asbestos in the room. So all rooms in that area are now off limits until they get back to us. So I'll be working with Mr. Darby to see as far as rents to basically try to get that reimbursed because we're not using any building down there right now. This afternoon we received a $5,000 grant to support students with disabilities, giving them the opportunity to gain real world experiences and also experiencing colleges and post-high school training programs. So that was a grant that we received today. COP, Charter Operated Programs. We have summer school dates already defined, so June 12th to July 24th, 6 weeks, and there will be no school on July 3rd. We have our transition to high school night, March 12th, and then July 27th to July 31st will be welcome week.
Unmuted.
With July 27th, 28th, and 29th being the new student orientation nights. So we'll have, we'll invite our clubs, we'll invite our athletic teams, the band, the cheerleaders. So we'll pump up the beginning of the new year.
Dave, what date is that again?
The welcome week nights, 27, 28, 29.
Okay.
July.
Yeah.
And then, good or bad, I think it's good. The end of the fall semester is this Friday, December 20th. So we start finals tomorrow. So we'll start finals tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then the first day of the spring semester is Tuesday, January 14th, with that Monday being a pupil-free day, so teachers will come back and get some professional development. And that's the executive director report for this summer.
Thank you. Has it been determined who's going to do the permanent fix on the heat?
No, I'm in an email battle with them because I'm saying that this is a critical repair and that the district should cover the cost. But now they say, the last email I had is that they do not have bond money available, so I don't know what that means. So I will reach out to, that was from M&O. I'll reach out to Mr. Smerlison to see what his take on it is.
The district office is about to eat if you fix tomorrow.
Yeah, I know another charter school has had difficulty with heating as well. And I know 2 other schools.
Mr. Husky, I know you're frustrated, as I am as well. I'm just appalled at LAUSD and their lack of response, their lack of responsibility to this school. And it just shows in everything we've been dealing with. The CCTV cameras, the fire, B-15, the flood. I don't know what else we can do, but LAUSD needs to be put on notice somehow. I mean, you could even fall under the safety of our kids here, especially the CCTV.
And that's what that was my email to Mr. Smerlison was basically we're holding up the safety of our students because we can't get a quote from the district.
Just amazing.
And I'll reach out to Friends of ECR and maybe we can put some parental pressure on LAUSD to get this done.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. Chief Business Officer, Mr. Darby.
Just 2 quick things. Prop 39, if you remember, we had 1 rebate out. The project had finished last year, but we will receive the final rebate of $118,852 end of January, February. So I'll let you know when that does come in. And then just a comment, I know committee comments or updates are after we haven't had one in a couple of months, and I certainly understand, I guess, Brown Act, we need 2 people physically present there. So I'm, encouraged that the board, we do continue, so I know life happens, it's tough to get there. But I think it's an important committee to have, so just, whatever you need from me, from my end, to help with this, because it's not easy, you know, life does happen and people can't be there, but maybe they'll all figure something out. So, they're good meetings. That's all I have.
Thank you. The board committee updates. We start, Ms. Chen.
There's no tech committee update this week.
Okay. Do the committees meet this week?
Travel met, and we approved 3 requests. One for the baseball, one for the ABCA convention. The other 2 are really important. I'm very excited about. The robotics team is going to Massachusetts to compete, and then the choir is going to Carnegie Hall. So very exciting for all those groups. So all 3 were approved. And then on the safety committee, there's no update from me. Unfortunately, Susan and I didn't get a chance to meet, but he has been communicating with Friends of ECR and all of the stakeholders and getting feedback on all of the issues, so they're working on it.
On that note, I did attend the safety meeting with, that was held here, and it was a mixture of administrators, teachers, parents. I was there on behalf of them, and I made a lot of progress. I was happy about that. I think that we have enough people around us, including the school police, including other organizations. I'm sure Mr. Davis would interject some of the other policies that have been successful in other school districts, in your school districts. Yeah. I think that's going to be a benefit once it gets traction. All right. Seeing no further committee updates, move to the consent items. Just 2. 2A. Minutes for the November 19th, 2019 regular board meeting.
If you have any corrections, I would make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Mr. Ryburn, a second from Ms. Chen. Since the item's been moved, are there any comments? No? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes from November 19th as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. And, sorry, ready with me? That was it.
I'm sorry, we didn't have an abstention?
I did not have an abstention.
Mr. Basile.
Mr. Basile, you still here?
We had to have at least one. Is there somebody at this meeting that wasn't at that one?
Yeah.
Or did they watch the video?
No. Greg?
I wasn't there, so I could be an abstention.
Okay.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 aye, 1 abstention. 6 aye, 1 abstention.
Unless you watched the video or something.
No.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We're good.
Okay. Go to the financial items. Item 3A. Mr. Darby.
Unless there are any more questions on the check register, I did multiple board members asking.
I just, based on the new manual and some of the stuff that's happened in the past, I just want to make sure that the administrative oversight happened with the American Express and things like that.
As far as getting the statements out?
Yeah, and reviewed and...
Yeah, board members asked me questions, and I think I respond to all of them if anyone else has any questions. Yeah.
I'm just...
No, sure.
Trying to be fail-safe here.
Yeah.
There was a...
We also do a random audit for backup on some of the expenditures.
Yep.
As did I.
Yep. There's been multiple ones too.
Just check.
Okay.
With that clarification, I'll make a motion to approve the November check register.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Karpal. All in favor? Is this a roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Roll call vote, Mr. Chang.
Beatrice Chen,
Yes.
Brian Archibald,
Yes.
Darren Ryburn,
Yes.
Gregory Basile,
Yes.
Jeff Davis,
Yes.
Scott Silverstein,
Yes.
Stephen Kofall.
Yes.
Motion passes.
She carries unanimously, 7-0. And the next item, the November 2019 financial update.
Mr. Solomon, can we switch the first interim report to vote? They're tied to each other, but if we vote on the other one, then we just explain the financial after. Is that good?
So you want to move D up?
I want to see and B as well.
Okay, so we're going to item C. We will move things around right now. We're going to 3C, review and vote on the first interim financials. Mr. Darby.
And I'm going to have Mr. Daniel Lee from Icon just review that and give us a background on the interim, since it is a vote item.
Hi, board member. My name is Daniel Lee from Icon School Management. I'm CEO at the company. And then probably this first time with every board member, so appreciate about the being hired. I mean, we try to hard work into helping the Camino charter school. And today I'm here to actually summarize the first interim report. And then this is first time I'm here. I give a little bit background information for first interim report. So state require 4 different report every year legally. The first one is preliminary budget, adapted budget, which is done before you study. So we usually done in the May, and the board approve in June for the next year budget. That budget is based on the assumption, based on the actual for the year before, and do the build the budget based on assumption for the next year. And then the first interim report is due is January 15th. Oh no, I'm sorry. The December 15th, which is cutoff day is October 31st, which is the first interim report. So state want to know about the first 4 months of operation. Any forecast is update for the budget, so we have to report to the state and forecast update. And then second interim report, which is due in March 15th by state. And then we have an actual report, the actual up-to-date, year-to-date is January 31st, which is the cutoff day. So first 7 months operation, again, then we report to the state. And same time, we have a chance to forecast another budget from the original budget too. And then we have a called unaudited actual. Since the audit not gonna be done till now, which is after 6 months year ended, the state can't wait that long. So they wanna know the unaudited actual, the financial report as of June 30, 2000, whatever year, and due is September 15th. So this is the fourth report is cycling every year. And today is the second report for the year. First report, the adapted budget is done by former back office at Tech. And so we're taking over all the information and we do the first interim report. There's a lot of documentation because LA Unified School District using the school district format called SAS report. So I start with the first, this is new in this year. It's hard to say, but it does make sense because LA Unified School District in this year put estimated balance sheet as of June 30, 2020. I mean, that's pretty tough because balance sheet is perpetual information carrying over, but they just want all the charter school put this information in first interim report. So it's not really 100% reliable information, but we just estimated that based on our budget we built up. So total cash we expecting end of the year $1.2 million, and the investment account is $7 million. So total utilize the cash and cash equivalent about $30 million we have it. And account receivable is 116. And due from governor, which is all the grant that we supposed to receive, but we might not receive because of a timing issue, and then $1.8 million. And prepaid or insurance, other stuff.
Why may we not receive that?
Because the funding, because even state give the apportionment for the June apportionment beginning of the June, we have to get the funding through the county. So it's time delay about the county got the money and cut the check to us, we actually not receiving till July.
It might be very often, that comes in July.
Yeah.
So it's just delayed.
Yeah, it's delayed.
So-
It's not deferred.
Yeah, but it would be in this fiscal year.
Yeah.
It would be in next fiscal year.
We'll put July 1st.
So you can't accrue it this year, can you?
We could for the portion for the June we supposed to receive, we receive in the July, we usually accrue.
When we're forecasting out, our expectation is in June, because it's meant for this year.
Oh, I see.
So there's two different.
Cash flow based.
Cash flow wise, we receive, that's the AR, we receive in following year. And prepaid expenditure we spend first, and then, but we haven't get services yet, which is insurance or the workers' comp, and all the fixed asset. So total asset, we actually expecting end of June 30, 2020, about $23 million. And so other side of that's what we own. So we have asset. What we owe to you, which is $1.8 million accounts payable. That's really a rough estimation, but they need an estimation. That's our estimation. Means that there's a bill we receive, but we might have not paid as of June 30. That's every month because we receive the invoices in June 29. We're not going to check this next day. So it's basically, we're not delaying, but that's the timing issue. And the other OPEC liability time of plan is $12 million. So total liability we owe is $14 million end of the year. And then we have a probably net position, which is how much we accrued, accumulated from balance sheet, $8 million. That's the hard estimation. There's a lot of chance to change the number end of the year. Depends on situation. But since there is hard documentation, we have to create one. So, next page.
Daniel, can I ask a
Sure.
question? So on the net OPEB obligation, that's what we need as a school to fully fund that?
Yes. So whatever whatever we pay every month versus what we accrued every month by employee for retired, that's the money as of June 30, 2020. That's the money as we have a liable to pay in the future.
And the district wants us to show the total liability.
Total liability. So that's more like a school district concept, but they apply the charter school one by one. So they want to show the future liability, which is not even next year or future years. The probably 30 years later. I mean, depends on the employee, how many years they're left for the retire. So next page is, so that's, can I stand up?
Yep.
I mean, hard to speak when I sit down. So this is pretty much yeah. So I think I gotta just summarize everything over here. So this is, we have to show there's a stack form that is the other charter school not using it. LA Unified School District charter school using this form, which is pretty much a school district form, but which they require. So what we have to put in here, we have to put original budget, which is the same as board approved back in May or June. It's called adapted budget. So it's terminology, but it's same concept. So LSAP funding is $33 million. That's main funding we got, which is state aid, education protection account, and the in-lieu property tax. That's a $33 million. So federal revenue $1.5 million at that time, which is Title I, Title II, special ed, all kinds of federal revenue, 1.5. And other state revenue is 1.2, and then local revenue $3.8 million. Total is $40 million revenue we projected and back in June. And then for expenditure, that's based on usually actual expenditure from prior 18-19 plus information the EdTech given, actually that's built on the budget. The total certified employees, which is teachers and then principal, so whoever have a certification, is $50 million, 560. And then classified employee admin people, special ed aid, who do not have a certification credential, which is $3.7 million. And then total benefit is $10 million, and food can supply $2 million, operation about approximately $7.5 million. And then depreciation $712. So total expenditure is $40 million. So we actually projected it as of June 30, 2019. We might end up with $187,000 net income, and then 2019 and 2020. So second column is, sorry, I have no, okay, go back to it. So this is actual to date. As I say, first interim report is cut off day, October 31st. That's cut off. So we received the $12 million, and then we spent the $12 million. So why we have a little bit behind? We already done 1/3 of the year, but we only received the 30% of funding because all the federal funding is kind of coming in later, and then actually the funding at the beginning of the year is the last and later. So actually, what happened in the trend, we got less funding in the first 6 months, but we spend more in the first 6 months. So that's the trend. So it's not really pattern. Every pattern is same every charter school district. So we see $12 million. So we have a little bit net loss, which is $20,000 actually, looking good, because at this point a lot of the charter schools are huge negative at the bottom. So, and then that's the projected year, the forecasting based on actual, and then whatever we have budget initially. We adjust a little bit based on the FinMac issue, the new calculation for the state ad and the EPA. That lottery funding is as of the government update in September. All the rate for the revenue is being updated. And so based on that, we have a little bit increase in outside funding, which is about $100,000, not significant. However, federal funding is expecting a little bit more, and the state funding is probably a little bit more, local, like a lot more. So we have a $40,675 compared to the $40,675 compared to $40,240. So we're expecting about $430,000 more we expected as of today compared to what we expected in June 3rd, 2019. And bottom line for the expenditure, now we feel like based on the actual expenses so far, the $50 million, $560 for the teacher salary is a little bit higher. The pattern that we spend every month, and we're expecting $14 million, $606. We decreased the budget a little bit. And then, but however, the classified is 43.7 and 4.9. Okay, so we go back and study why that is significant differences between two, because first initial budget is based on the actual spending from prior year. This year's actually, we see the last 4 months expenditure, so we coding the audit code. We have to, whoever has a class, certified is not certified. We actually we adjusted it based on actual thing. So I don't know how much I had to rely on this, but that's the guess in June 30. So actually right now it's actually the $4.9 million classified employees, the salary expenditure. But benefit is not much different. It's like probably $500,000 less than pattern that we spent so far. So we're expecting $10 million. And but book and supply, they spent a little bit more than we expected as of October 31st, so increase a little bit, so $2.2 million instead of $2 million. And that's going to the student services. Operational living increase, $300,000 increase, so we're expecting $7.7 million for operation. Depreciation, at least the state same might be changed because we just got the audit report. Based on the audited number, we're gonna recalculate the depreciation for the current year. So bottom line is, looking good, good news, we're expecting is $452,000 net income end of the year. Another might be good news. I'm working on the P1 report, but too early to say that. But it looks like our enrollment is doing great. So, mean that this is very conservative enrollment here. So when I do the second interim report, which is presented to the board in the probably February, I probably using that updated enrollment number for the second interim report. I'm expecting a little bit more income than what we projected.
That's P2.
Yeah, so P1 is due, but based on P1 number, I have to do the second interim for financial report. So doing well. I mean, it looks like we have a lot more than we expected in the enrollment.
Well, P1 versus P1, same time last year. We're not done looking at P1, but it is higher, at least P1. I know there is always a December students. A good number of students leave, but still, we're starting at we're starting at a higher plane. We're not sure how much higher, but it might be fairly significant.
So,
student-wise, what are you talking about?
We looked at ADA.
I know it's P1, but approximately.
I'm looking at it. It's 180 is the difference.
Okay.
On the P1 reports. That's earlier on.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Even if it's a little bit less, it's still not, you know, a higher than last year.
And now, just a clarification on the classified, you went from 3.7 to 4.9, that's because of the new contract? Is that why?
I'd have to, yeah, I'd look deeper into it. Very possible.
I would hope that it's people that were reclassified from
Yeah.
certificated to classified.
Right.
Because if it jumped that much, then.
That kind of jump, that's gonna be more of a reclassification than a salary thing.
So reclassified that mean?
Yeah, so I think it's nothing's done wrong, but when you do the budget to me, I'm not throwing somebody under the bus, but the should be in the certified employee, but budgeted in the classified, and vice versa.
There were people that was covered.
Yeah.
Have you cleared all that up?
Yes, and then that's why I netted out, the total salary is like $19 million. I mean, pretty same. Only thing is classification.
It's just the buckets need to be cleaned up.
Yeah, we spend 3 days and then go one by one. All the employees coding is actually right coding for the budget.
All right, so you have a difference of 1.1 million. Where was that 1.1 million in the last report?
Right here, 950. The one at the bottom. They're saying to switch the two.
Yeah, so if you're
So that was
employee,
certificated at one point. It's
So
switched
the bubble had to be put in.
Right.
All right, so that's pretty much a wash.
Same bubble,
400,000.
same bubble, but yes.
yeah,
Okay.
that's correct. Any question, any concern?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's a vote item.
Right.
And just so, the reason I had Dan go first, the financials are through October, so they are the same, right? So that's why I have to get the bulk of the stuff out of the way.
Okay.
I have questions.
For this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
The same?
Thank you. So thank you again, I appreciate the presentation today. I had a question about, I thought it might be answered today. What I see here in the first interim financials as the original budget and the board approved budget, the numbers for state and local revenues are different than the document that's online for the approved budget that was approved in June of 2019.
Yes, yes. So because probably there's a lot different, probably about $1.5 million. In SACS format, so whatever you can see the local revenue in the website, actually that's the number that we know that that's a local revenue. This local revenue in the first interim report include the state portion of the special ed money, including this local revenue.
So why is special ed now identified as local revenues
Because
versus state revenues or federal revenues?
LA Unified School District required the state special ed money has a passing through the LA Unified School District. So they already recognize the state revenue and contributed to us. So we can book it, double book it as state revenue, but we just treat it as an in-local property tax, same thing. We have to treat it as a local revenue, the tax coding.
My concern is, yes, that may be the case with accounting, but how does that work with compliance? Because there's monies that are special ed have specific compliances. They are not unrestricted, to be used in other ways. So how does that get corrected in the budgeting of special ed? Because state monies have special requirements, federal monies have special requirements, and now they're being identified as local revenues. So how do we determine the proper ways to spend those with that money?
Okay, so all the special ed money, all the restricted money in our system is all restricted. And then we keep checking down all the expenses based on what resources we want. This is just a reporting format that they require to.
Okay.
So unfortunately we have to consolidate the special ed money with the local revenue. Looks like unrestricted, but our system is all separate out.
Yeah.
So
does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's starting to make sense, but I'd like to ask Dr. Davis if you could ask for some sort of document. Usually we get at the next meeting you'll get like a little graph chart, so it makes it a little more visual.
Sure.
So that would be easier to track because this is really very different from how all the budgets I've reviewed in the past.
Sure.
I have a specific question about also. So that's really changed the local revenues, which usually are much lower. And now state revenues much higher. So I see how it balances. But I have a couple of other questions. I had asked at a previous board meeting about, and let me get my page number right. Here's here on the balance sheet. At a previous board meeting, it was like there was $237 identified as due to others, and then on the audit, I saw that same balance listed as like a loan, or on the unaudited actuals listed as a loan. So I'm not sure what the category for the $237,000, but it's not on this balance sheet. I'm assuming it's ASB funds, but I've never had that answer.
I'm sorry, it is
It is ASB funds. You don't have to put ASB funds on our balance sheet?
But this is a roughly estimated balance sheet.
Okay.
You can expect that anything is correct with this type, but it's similar for the cash balances. Right. But other stuff is very variant, and we have to more detail on this.
It's alarming when I saw it on the unaudited actuals that it's identified as a loan.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
But this is unfortunately, sorry. I mean, we have to go back and ask the question for LA Unified School District. I don't know why they need an estimated balance. Is this the first time? Make everybody confused, but whatever they needed, we have to follow too. Unfortunately.
Okay. And then one last item under local revenues.
Sure.
There's a line item called other sales, and it's $900,000. And I'm going to I look at that and I make an assumption that that is what was previously identified as ASB funds for ticket sales, for athletic events, and now are being incorporated into our general fund budget.
No, you're going to have a detail in the next board meeting. This is only for the interim report that we have to file to the state. So the whatever detail, the presentation you can, every board meeting, this is only for this month. And then you have a detail. So you want to know that what's $900,000 local revenue for?
Because it wasn't on our previous budget, and I never saw that item in a previous years.
Okay. I double check previous years.
Object code 8639.
Yeah. If it is what was previously identified as ASB funds, but really are now general funds because they're for the athletic department, I really want to bring up the issue of getting a budget for our student council because now they have no access to those funds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Darby, you wanted to incorporate, actually it's a vote item.
Yeah.
So it's the first interim financials for state reporting, I should say. Any further questions? No? Seeing anything, any questions? Mr. Vasili, Mr. Archibald.
None for me, thank you.
Yeah.
I have no questions. I did want to thank Daniel for putting together sort of a different presentation of the financials in many respects that I thought was better than what we had previously. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I just have one question. I know that we were talking about department budgets, I think back in January or February of last year, Alan. Is there a chance we could get those soon, or?
Yeah, because we've been working on it, and we work with Mr. Hussey and some others.
So so far, we started the meeting. Dr. Hershey's helped a lot to define each department now, and then we have to have a starting the meeting, and then just to get information that. But at this point, to be honest, it's pretty hard to. We already have a financial budget at this point, and then going back to the department budget to tie with our financial budget is already built. Because so far, I don't know, I haven't made a decision yet, we haven't discussed in more detail yet, but to me, we still built up the department budget, but this is tagging for next year budget is more makes sense to me. Because the order to get this budget done is department budget done first, and then we aggregate and make a financial budget for the next year. But we're missing that part for the last year, and then we already built the financial budget by somebody else, and then we have to tag this expensive with department budget. There's a lot of chance that there's the differences between two that I don't know how we can divide the budget at the point. So we're still working on with Dr. Ortiz and Alan all together to define the department, because we don't know how many departments we're going to break down. If we can detail as a 24 department English math, but we try to more efficiency and department. And then based on expectation about the expenses from the department.
Yeah,
And then
those conversations are gonna have to happen.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a culture change, just different, something new.
So are we working towards
For the next
looking at the past and presenting a department budget for the future?
Yes.
Yes.
That's more right.
For would be the 2021 fiscal year then?
Yeah, but the budget for department budget for the next year probably present to the board sometime in the spring. Because, so that way that we can build the financial budget and it's done by May and the board approve in June for the whole financial budget.
So I would just hopefully we can get that done so that these departments will know.
Yeah, and it's different responsibility, different things, but, right, so that's why, so. Easing into it more than expected, but I think it's the responsible way to do it.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question on that? Mr. Hussey, is it as simple as each department gets X amount of dollars per year to spend on what they need in their department? I'm thinking academic departments.
Well, I mean, we don't have a budget for any department.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have right now, we don't have a mechanism to even.
And that's what he's saying.
Figure out.
So if departments need to purchase things, they come to administration?
They put it in NetSuite and
Yes,
it gets purchased.
Right, because they have the approval goes through.
It's really arbitrary. I mean, really, I mean, if I want something, I put it in there.
Well, because there are multiple levels of approval, there are questions certainly to be asked, it's right? But yeah, there's trust.
There's no set.
There is a trust there that, the assumption is, and things have, I've seen APs say, well, you don't need that now, right? Why are we getting that? That does happen.
But there's no set limit.
That was my question. So like, is there X amount of discretionary money available?
Not for academic department.
Okay, so it comes out of general fund.
Yeah,
Basically.
It has always been, it's always been, there's a bucket of money.
Okay.
But if you go ahead. No, if you take the budget right now, we have, let's say, 75% of the budget are fixed costs. We have salaries, we have benefits.
Right. Without lifetime benefits, it's like 68%.
Okay, so
68%. It goes to 72.
All right, so we have somewhere approximately 30% of the budget left for appropriation.
Right.
So we're talking about basically what, $13 million? Something in that range would be considered as available for appropriation and not a fixed expense. So right there, we're not starting from 40 million, we're starting from 13 million. And I just think it's really, really important to be able to data mine on this stuff and see where the costs are being overspent and where we need to increase.
Yes.
And I think the only way to do it is by having departmental budgets that we can review and see a quantitative response, quantitative results.
I think the goal is for that to occur for this upcoming budget before we approve.
Yes.
Yeah, we want to do that.
We should see it. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
That was my question.
Yes.
I'm glad we got to it. I would really like to see that finalized for next year's budget. Thank you.
Yeah, we had, just finally adding up, so where we at now, define the department. I mean, with more discussion. And second thing, how systematically built up the system. Like, put the budgets out there, it means nothing there. How we keep checking out all the budget expenditure to make sure year to date that what budget wasn't expended. So NetSuite is actually capable, but there's a lot of communication needed to build the system. Because now we're looking at LCAP budget in there, just normal financial budget in there. Now we have the department budget in there. So I don't know, we can keep tracking all together. We try to. But that's once you get built, and then the approval procedure we have to discuss about it. Because how we're going to approve. And forward, and then how we're going to generate a report from there. So it's a step that we have to get through, but we're fully aware about the board has consideration to department budget that we're working towards it.
But when it's done, it's going to be great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And that's a vote item. So I'll make a motion to approve the
3C.
Yeah, 3C, first interim financials as presented.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
I
second.
have a second from Ms. Chang. Mr. Chang, roll call, please.
Beatrice Chen,
Yes.
Brian Archibald,
Yes.
Darren Ryburn,
Yes.
Gregory Basile,
Yes.
Jeff Davis,
Yes.
Scott Silverstein,
Yes.
Stephen Copal.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next up, did you want to go right to D? Review and vote on the 18-19 audit report?
That would be, the final.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do
The auditors,
that. Again, the financial is through October, the first interim's through October, so being that you approved it, but of course, any questions or anything, but it is the same information.
Who's Wade with McMullen?
Wade is our auditor, outside auditor.
Wade, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I recognize. Mr. McMullen, we defer to you on this report.
Okay, Daniel, do they have the required communications as well?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you have it up. Okay, that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this. I'm glad to be here with you tonight to go over the audit report. The required communications are the set of communications that have been given to you in the form of a letter. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on this. Most of it is fairly innocuous, but I do want to mention a few things. The first is the audit was performed under governmental auditing standards as well as uniform guidance, and that's in the first paragraph there. As it relates to also the audit is also performed under the 2018-19 guide for annual audit K-12 local educational agencies, which includes charter schools. The first is accounting policies. The accounting policies for the financial statements are the responsibility of management. There were no new ones except for one, and that is a new accounting standard that had to be adopted this year on the presentation of the financial statement. Really, there was one financial statement that was added, which is the functional expense financial statement, and then there were a few small additional footnotes in the financial statements, but they were not of a lot of significance. But aside from that, there were no other new accounting policies adopted. The existing application of the policies did not change. There were no transactions entered into by the entity in the year where there was a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus, and all significant transactions have been recognized in the financial statements in the proper period. I'll move on to financial statement disclosures at the bottom of the page. All the financial statements we audited were neutral, consistent, and clear. I'll go on the next page, page 2. There were no significant difficulties in performing our audit. There were no uncorrected misstatements that were not recorded, so we didn't have any small adjustments given to management. Management decided not to report. And there were no corrected misstatements as a result of our audit procedure. Sometimes we have some adjustments, but they're made after management has proposed those adjustments, sometimes in the form of post-closing adjustments, but we didn't have any as a result of our auditing procedures. Disagreements with management. We did not have any disagreements with management over financial, accounting, reporting, or auditing matters. Management representation. We received the management letter dated December 13th, which was the date of the audit report, in which everything in the audit file was reviewed. We also sent that audit file to our national review in Minneapolis, and they looked it over as well. There were no issues related to the audit that we could clear. Management consultations with other independent accountants. We are not, to our knowledge, there were no significant or consultations with other accountants over auditing or accounting matters. Significant issues discussed with management prior to our retention. There were none. Then there's other information in the audited financial statements. There's federal schedule of awards. There's also a number of different schedules that matters. And in our opinion, those were fairly presented, of course, with our audit. Recent accounting standards, these are here for you just to see. Well, there are some new stuff coming down the pipe. Revenue recognition standards will be implemented next year. And also, on page 4, top of page 4, there's a new accounting standard that may or may not have a significant impact. I don't think you have any significant pieces. But that is essentially taking any operating lease you have and putting it on the balance sheet now. Other than that, there were nothing else to report, so I'll move over to the audit report unless anybody has any questions on the required communication. Okay. Hearing none, I'll move on to the audit report. If you look at the first section, we get to the letter. The first letter is our audit report itself, the independent auditor's report. And this is what we call a modified opinion. In other words, the financial statements in our opinion are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And also, we also look at the reporting under governmental auditing standards, which is towards the bottom of the second page. You move on to the second page. You'll see just before our signature a paragraph discussing the government auditing procedures. And that's in the back of the report. We'll see that in just a few moments, but there were no exceptions related to that report. So then we go into the balance sheet or the statement of financial position. You can see total current assets significantly are higher than current liabilities. That would be your, what we call your current ratio. That's very good. It's essentially 16 million as opposed to 3 million. But you do have quite a few retirement obligations in our book. Those retirement obligations are future obligations, so they're not considered short term. They'll be paid over the course of a number of years. So your overall net asset or equity position sitting right now is $7.7 million. The next page is statement of activities. This gives you an idea of where your revenues are coming from and how many expenses you had. So you can see that the majority of your revenues are coming from state, federal, and some property tax, local revenue. And you do have other activities, food activity, that's a fairly large one. But nothing really changed significantly over the prior years or at least the type of revenue receiving. And then we have program expenses and management general, and in terms of the percentage of expenses that are considered management general, is pretty low. That's a pretty good ratio of the $40 million, 3.6 was spent on management general. And then you have changes in the liability related to the post-retirement related costs. So you had an overall loss, but I would say that most of that loss, almost all of it, is related to pension plans. And that relates to anticipated costs as well as new interest into the post-retirement plan. So that can fluctuate from year to year depending on the actuarial studies that are done. So I would look mainly at the change in net assets, which is about the seventh line up. It's the overall $939,000 of increase in assets from general operations.
Could I stop you for a second? Because that's actually a comment that I had circled here. Was the other changes in net assets. There's a $5.1 million. Yeah, that's it, right there. Is that a new?
No, that's related to the actuarial readjustment of your liability for your pension plan. So that can fluctuate from year to year, go positive, go negative. That's based actuarial estimate. So it's sort of not a real expense. It's sort of an estimate of the future liability. And your liability did go up for that pension plan by $5 million. That has to relate to the way that your, let's say, assets are making as it relates to the protected benefit go for a long period of time.
And we the actuary is year ends they go.
So I don't know if you know, what was this number last year to change by $5.1 million in 1 year? It just seems a significant dollar amount here to change on a whim like that.
Isn't that based on the investments of,
And keep in mind too, the investments that are fixed in the plan get swing pretty quickly back and forth based on market conditions and the specific date and time, June 30. So I'm not sure exactly how the investments perform right after June 30th. It could have been a big dip in the market related to the investments and pension trends. It also has to do with the actuarial adjustment for various like mortality rates and all that type of things. We use the actuarial report as a 50%. So that's a 2 or 3 times. So, and probably you can dive into this a little bit more in detail to determine exactly what the investments are, how they're doing right now as it relates to $5 million effort related to maybe there was a dip in the market over time that covered or it I think we're seeing most of our people who are reporting unrealized gains and losses on investments at a
Wade, you're breaking in and out a bit. Is there any way you can get to a stronger signal spot?
No, I'm sitting in my office right here.
Okay.
But I think what may be helpful for the board in maybe the next meeting is an analysis of how the plan investments are performing.
Okay.
Okay, I'm dipping in and out, hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to pass over the statement of cash flows. It's essentially just converting the income statement into cash basis. I'm going to move over to page 6, which is the statement of functional expenses. This is a new statement this year. We've always done this statement, but this is now required. And so we use these numbers not only to analyze and look at expenses when we're auditing them, but also these are the numbers that will show up on your 990 federal tax return as well. So you can see, as I said before, that the amount or the percentage of expenses that are managed in general are fairly low as a percentage of total, and that's a good thing. And we look at the allocation method between program and management in general as we're doing the audit. And so you can now see what all of your different expenses are in terms of the percentage of salary and benefits as it relates to some of the comments we were making before about the rest of the budget being appropriatable. So my costs are about $2 million and other pieces of services contracted. There's quite a few expenses in other that aren't easily categorized. A lot of that has to do with student activity costs.
So basically, our management expense is 10% of the
Yeah,
program.
that's really low. That's really low. That's good though.
Plus you got a $500,000 depreciation, which is not bad.
Which is non-cash expense.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go into the financial statement footnotes and not spend a whole lot of time going into a great amount of detail. A lot of these are very boilerplate in nature, but I'm going to talk about just a few of those. Let's see here. I'm going to talk about note 6 on page 11. This is kind of an important footnote from the standpoint of this is driving some increases in cost. This is the state teachers retirement system footnote, as well as the public employment retirement system footnote. And what we're saying here is your required communications required contributions are rising. And that's because both STRS and PERS are requiring the employer to contribute more and more of annual payroll into the plan in order to try to fund the plan as it relates to the PERS and STRS program. So you can see you had about a $300,000 increase in PERS page 12, and to move over to the next page, you can see you jump from 482,000 to 620,000 for the PERS program. That's what we expect to see in the following years. That's going to continue to happen. And then the next thing, then we have all this defined benefit information. It kind of gives you some information as it relates to how the plan assets are doing. And you can see on the top of page 15, this kind of gives you an idea. The fair value of your plan assets is about 11.4 million, where your obligation that's projected over a number of years is 24 million, which is giving you a funded status of a deficit of $12 million. And this is common for most defined benefit plans. And the reason this is common is in the past, whatever you had in the plan assets, $11.4 million, was going ahead and paying for those retirement benefits that are occurring ongoing in real time. Now the new standard, the new audit standard, requires us for this 24 million to estimate what the lifetime liability of the existing beneficiaries is going to be. And so you can see it's 24 million. So the idea is, for one, for fair value to increase over time, and two, that the contributions into the plan are made to create to shrink that $12 million deficit over time. It's not going to affect your liquidity or anything, your performance in the current years. We're looking at a vast amount of years out in terms of the liability of $24 million. And this put a lot of school districts as well as charter schools that had defined benefit plans in a negative net asset situation, because a lot of them didn't have enough fair value plan assets currently to make up that post-retirement obligation. That's the reason why a lot of organizations are no longer offering defined benefits, that they're going to defined contribution plans like 401k.
So it says that we've gone 100%, we funded 100%, but theoretically we funded much higher than 100%. Do you know?
No, you funded $11 million, but the actuary is saying over the lifetime of beneficiaries, you're going to have to pay out $24 million. So that may or may not happen. And in the meantime, with the fair value of plan assets, they may be able to catch up significantly to that $24,000 liability. But this is the way the accounting works, and a lot of people aren't too happy about it, but it does give a more realistic picture of what their future obligations are.
Wade, can I ask you a question? Sure. The funded, so say the market stays the same, we have 11.4 million. If we're putting what we put in right now, $220,000 a month, in 5 years, this would be fully funded if everything stayed the same without fluctuation, correct?
Yeah, that's a possibility. That you'll see that happening. Now, if you look here, the actuarial increases, the sensitivity at the bottom of 15. If you look bottom of 15, you'll see the sensitivity measurement of the discount rate. If you change the discount rate, increase it by 1%, or decrease it by 1%, and this is an estimate percentage that they're using. That's a swing of $11 million.
The discount rate.
So, I mean, so just think, these are estimates, and definitely it's great if you're socking away more and more money in the plan. Hopefully, the estimates are lower than the 7 or whatever percent. I'm sorry, 4.16% discount rate that they're using. So this is, again, it's a ballpark number. It's not necessarily going to be reality, but it is wise and prudent to continue to make those contributions into the plan.
The actuary is already in process of having the funding scenario based on current conditions for the January meeting.
Yeah.
So we're already working on that. And our fund on that is the balance now. So that was June 30th. Right now, it's 13,384,553. So it's increased a lot.
But this is a difficult number to
understand.
It is,
yeah.
You have $24 million, but how far out is this $24 million?
That's why every 8 months or so, you've got not only to order the actuaries year-end things. That's why I regularly do the funding scenarios and give it to you guys to show how that can change. The discount rates on there, it's all breaking up. And how we do it, if you remember from last year, I showed 10 years out, 15, just to show you, because ultimately you want to be funded 115 or 120%, right, for swing. So last time I checked, I think we're at 53%. In January, we'll see where we're.
Okay. Any question?
Okay, so that's great. So I'm going to move on to the supplementary information. I'm going to move all the way. There's nothing that has anything to report negative about the instructional minutes or the ADA or the reconciliation of the unaudited actuals or the federal funding. Everything went fine. I'm going to go all the way to page 24. And this is the letter of our governmental audit standards letter, and essentially there were no findings as it relates to internal controls or compliance matters. And then on page 26, the federal letter for federal audit purposes, there were no findings as it relates to any federal programs we tested, and I'll tell you what program we tested in just a minute. And then on page 28 is the state compliance letter, and there were no findings as it relates to the state compliance. Now on page 30, we have a summary of auditor results. Financial statements identified no significant or material weaknesses, identified no material non-compliance. Journal awards, no identified material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies. Unmodified report, no findings. We tested Title I federal program this year. You are a low-risk ISD, which means you haven't had high control of features. And then on the last page, on page 31, the statement of findings and question costs, and there were no findings or question costs. And there were none for last year either, so you can be happy about that. That's great. We did have our in-charge on the job, has been the in-charge on this job for a number of years, maybe 2 years now. So she has a lot of experience working with the school, and everything went really well. Looked really good when we did our compliance test. Do you have any further questions?
I have one. On page 10, note 3. This is more of your opinion on this. Are we adequately secured in what can I say? The FDIC insurance.
Yeah.
To the extent we can't better manage that.
There's cost benefit analysis that needs to be made by management on that in that regard. What we find is that if you have significant excess cash, break to put it into CDs, investments are being utilized as it relates to that. You have $5 million as of June 30th in cash and cash equivalents. I don't know if all of that is in one bank account, I can't recall, but you can have fluctuations from month to month. So you want to give yourself some flexibility. There are arrangements where you can have a sweep account, or there are other arrangements with banks that you can have more money cash collateralized than the $250,000. That's something you have to look at. What I do not recommend, and I see a lot of people considering this, is breaking it up and putting your cash in a number of different bank institutions to enable you to increase your federal FDIC insurance amount. I think there's a risk from an accounting internal control standpoint when you have more than 1 or 2 bank accounts in utilization, just because it requires more accounting as well as it requires those bank accounts more checks, more points of access to cash within within your organization. So I do not suggest breaking up your accounts into many smaller accounts for the sake of trying to meet the federal insurance threshold. Again, I would say that management needs to take a look at whether or not, or has, how much money they want to sock into CDs that may not give you flexibility as it relates to month-to-month expenditures, as well as do you get your federal funding and your state funding on a month-to-month basis, so you have to manage cash flow so that you have your appropriate amount for payroll. So I think you're fine. I don't see any issue relating to that particular exposure. Obviously, you know, there could be some losses if the banking institutions have a meltdown, but I don't see that coming. And you do have some options going to certain banks and asking for more collateral. So you have that option, you just have to pay for it.
Okay. We've had this discussion before as to how much money should be kept in the account that we definitely need on a day-to-day basis. And I don't recall what the number was. But are we more than that? Are we at it? And can we just sweep it? And okay, all right.
We already, remember, we have as of yesterday, $7 million, more than $7 million in the CD account with excess cash, right? So we do also have, as you suggested, and there's no way we're going to get multiple institutions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2018-2019 auditor's report and submit it.
I have a motion from Mr. Ryberg. One second.
Second.
And a second, Dr. Davis. Mr. Chang.
Beatrice Chen,
Yes.
Brian Archibald,
Yes.
Darren Ryberg,
Yes.
Gregory Basile,
Yes.
Jeff Davis,
Yes.
Scott Silverstein,
Yes.
Stephen Colquhoun.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Wade, thank you for your presentation.
All right, well, thank you guys. It went really well. We really appreciate management. We enjoyed serving the board in this capacity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Darby, do you want to go back to B?
So just the finance.
Yeah.
Again, the mirror the first intro.
All right, does anybody in the board have any
So
questions?
if there's any further, that's why we did so much detail on that, on the vote item.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, we will assume, I guess we're tabling B. No, we're not.
No, it's not a vote item, it's a discussion.
Oh, that's right.
So we had, that's why my point is.
So it was already considered discussed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good board members, I'm driving down to San Diego. So
Good luck.
I appreciate it. I know it's like, hopefully the next one.
Take some food, you're gonna need it. Okay, moving ahead, item 4, school business. 4A, to vote on the certification of board compliance review. Mr. Chang.
So this is something that we have done every year, at least as long as I've been here. We are required by LAUSD as part of their compliance oversight to go over this document. It identifies a number of different areas that the board has to review in order to ensure that there is compliance. The initial submission is signed by school administration, and that was submitted, I believe, sometime in October. And now we have to submit this by January. So we're having it on the board agenda now. So these are the compliance requirements. As I've done in the past, we'll just go through each of the different topics. And if there are any questions, we can discuss it. Otherwise, we'll ensure compliance. Number 1, charter school maintains timely and current verification of criminal background and TB clearances for all employees, including substitutes, part-time staff, and temporary employees, and contracting entities, service providers, vendors, and independent contractors. We are in compliance, especially with our new HR department. They are doing just an absolutely fantastic job. making sure that we are constantly getting up-to-date live scans and TVs before anyone starts employment. Also, we are constantly getting updated vendor certification forms from our different vendors, and they are also properly vetting their employees as well. Number 2, teachers of core/college preparatory subjects, including but not limited to English language, arts, social science, social studies, science, and mathematics, hold an EL certification and a valid commission on teacher credentialing certificate, permit, or other documents equivalent to that which a teacher in other public schools would be required to hold per federal and state law. As such, we are also in compliance with this. Again, Human Resources has been working with our certificate staff closely to make sure that everyone has or is working on the proper credentialing.
Mr. Chang, if you're going to read every one of these, we're going to be here all night.
Yeah, but that's what we've done in the past.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I read it.
Oh, did you? Okay. Okay. So we'll abbreviate. Number 2A, we're in compliance. Number 3, we are in compliance. The meeting calendars have all been posted. Number 4, we are in compliance. Number 5, we are in compliance. All the training is done. All those we do. Number 6, co-location is not relevant. Number 7, we are in compliance.
Mr. Chang, if I could on number 6, we have
Yes.
2 locations now.
But neither one of those are co-locations. Co-locations means co-located with an LAUSD school. Like Birmingham, they share their campus. We don't share our campus with an LAUSD school.
Got it. Thank you for clarification.
Sure. Number 8, school climate and discipline systems are in compliance with LAUSD systems. Number 9, our suspension expulsion agreement statements are in compliance. Number 10, including the student handbook. We do have it in English and Spanish. They're both up on our board webpage if you want to look for it. Not the board webpage, I'm sorry, on the school webpage under Families tab. There's a parent student handbook tab. You can click that, both languages are available. Number 11, facility shall be in compliance. We are in compliance with all building codes as far as we know. Number 12, federal and state laws related to public entity. This is something that we are absolutely in compliance with. We work on it all the time. Articles of incorporation are current and appropriate. Bylaws are current and appropriate. Number 15, meets provisions of any eligibility for federal programs and grants, such as Title I. We are in compliance and we do that. Uniform complaint procedure, it is included as part of our parent-student handbook. It is up on our website as well. Number 17, the school wellness policy, we do have a policy. Number 18, governing board oversees and adopts stakeholder engagement process, which we do for the LCAP. Number 19, keeping parents informed, charter school transparency resolution. We have a tab for that specifically on our board webpage. Number 20, 8379, regarding homeless and foster youth. Yes, we have a foster and homeless youth liaison who's doing a good job in making sure that we are compliant at all times. Number 21 is not applicable since we do not serve grade 9 only. 22, pupil suicide prevention policies, we are in compliance. And for high schools, we do maintain WASC accreditation and UCLP always post-approved. So we are in compliance with all different matters. So unless there are any specific questions, then that's what we do for the board to vote, and then for Mr. Citizen to sign as board chair.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve the certified board of compliance review and submit it to the proper authorities.
Second. Mr. Ryder moved the motion, Mr. Kofal second. Is this it is? Okay, Mr. Chang.
Beatrice Chen?
Yes.
Brian Archibald?
Yes.
Darren Ryburn?
Yes.
Gregory Basile?
Yes.
Jeff Davis?
Yes.
Scott Silverstein?
Yes.
Stephen Kofal?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Can I make a comment related to this? I think it's great that the board makes us do this, but what about them making sure our rooms are compliant with heat and things like that? I think it's really ironic that we're forced to do this and we can't get anybody to come out here and keep our teachers, staff, and students in heated rooms and have pipes fixed and things like that. I think it's just ridiculous. And I was going to say maybe a call to Jose Cole Gutierrez. maybe that'll help too. And again, I'm doing it under this item because I think it should be reciprocal.
Well, we're having charter schools next week. They're coming to this school. We're gonna have the meeting at a table outside.
Great.
Just keep them cold and then walk inside. Notice that there's no difference.
Yeah, because I'm sure this is the district office.
It might be warmer outside if the sun's out.
Well, I would say, I would venture to guess if the heat was not working at the DO, they'd fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
But our students don't matter and our teachers don't matter. I just think it's appalling. Just figured I had to say that.
I concur with Dr. James. My previous statements.
I concur too.
Thank you. We can't vote. It's not on the agenda. Okay, now we go to item, go to 4A. Okay, we just did that. 4B, discuss possible approval of resolution of commitment to enroll students. Mr. Husky.
Yes, so I know some people in public comments spoke against this. And I actually wanna say what Ms. Schrader said was exactly what we wanna do with this policy. So she's talking about stay put and not having to go through the long process of her student has been placed. She's fought hard to have her student in the school that he or she is in. This is exactly what this resolution would do and basically say the district is responsible for this student because they have never showed up at El Camino. So once the student was to show up to El Camino, we would service that student. In her case, if he came to El Camino, but she wanted to do, it would have to go through the IE process, which would take 30 days. And then the committee would decide where the best placement was. Right now, she's already placed, so the district already knows this. If she comes here, then our team has to reassess. We have to spend our resources on the student that probably should not be here. And then that's resources that our school is not giving to the special needs students that are here already. So I just wanted to say what she said is exactly what this resolution would do, is basically push it back on the district and say, look, this student has never been to El Camino. They shouldn't have to go through the process of being assessed by El Camino and doing that long process because you guys have already done the job. So I wanted to start with that since she said that. But to give you an idea, the resolution was drafted by our legal counsel. So our legal counsel has looked over the resolution and they gave it to us with their, let's say, after looking it over. So it's not something that the school developed on its own, it's something that legal counsel has looked at. Right now, the resolution would put this solely on the district since the students have never attended El Camino, like I said before. Any student who lives in our attendance boundary and checks into El Camino, we will service them to the fullest. And if it's deemed that they should go to an NPS, non-public school, then El Camino would pay for that placement. We're talking about placements where they're at a private school and have never been to El Camino, or never set foot on this campus and never have enrolled in the school. So that's what this resolution is talking about. There's a difference between the two. Right now, there's a gentleman's agreement between LAUSD and the conversion schools. It's not in writing. LAUSD does not want to put it in writing. And it's basically for students that have never attended a conversion school. This only affects the conversion schools. So if you're a charter school down the street and a kid, there's no attendance boundary. So with the conversion schools, we have a former attendance boundary, and that's the difference between the two. And we're saying that charter schools, for this purpose, don't have an attendance boundary. We take kids from all over. We go to Ed Code 47695 D10. ECR does not have a preference, and we do assess students enrolled at ECR. So we're not saying we're not going to assess students. They just have to be students at El Camino in order for us to assess them.
So let me clarify something. I'd rather have it.
Is this open for discussion yet?
Not yet. So if there is a student that lives on Manton, I'm sorry, if there is a resident that's a high school age lives on Manton, that's not considered in our attendance area, because theoretically, we don't have an attendance area?
Correct, but in our charter, there's a sequence that we would say we would take these students first, these students second, these students third, these students fourth. So if you live in our attendance boundary, you would have first rights to attend the school.
Ms. Raleigh, for that boundary stated in the charter for attendance purposes.
Enrollment purposes.
Lottery, lottery, sorry.
I'm sorry?
I know Mr. Hussey's presenting, but doesn't there need to be a motion before it's discussed by the board?
No, we can discuss.
Well, theoretically.
He's still presenting. You're
No,
clarifying
normally
the
you put the
question.
motion and then you talk. That's the way.
We have a clarifier.
He clarified the question.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish, Mr. Hussey.
All right, unofficially, again, the district was thinking about for $750 for the process to be conducted at the school. Generally ECR spends between $5,000 and $15,000 on this process. ECR last year had 6 to 7 students that went through the process last year. Currently, 20% of our special ed funding goes directly to LAUSD. We think that this money should be used for those assessments that they should be doing.
Well, could you explain that?
So 20% of our special ed funding off the top does not get to El Camino, it goes directly to LAUSD. So we pay LAUSD part of the SELPA, correct?
It goes directly to the SELPA.
So 20% of the funds that should go to these special ed students are going directly to LAUSD off the top.
So what I'm hearing is that we're giving them 20% off the top, but they want us to pay for it.
They want us to do the assessments for kids that are never going to enroll at El Camino.
These are students that have been placed by the district or the parents in non-public or private schools.
So again, this money would be taken away from our current students, which includes services to students who go to an MPS, because El Camino pays for students at an MPS, and our students with significant disabilities. Next, we're worried that LAUSD could say, not that they have, but we're worried that LAUSD could say that ECR is responsible to assess students that go to TAP, since they live in our former attendance boundary. So if they're saying, oh, this is your former attendance boundary, but they go to TAP, possibility, right now it's not, they're not doing that, but it's a possibility that they could say, they live in your former attendance boundary, we want you guys to assess them. The resolution will have zero impact on any family that wishes to attend ECR. So anybody who lives in our attendance boundary, it has no impact on them. And currently only the district can name a residential placement. So if they went through the process at El Camino and it was agreed upon that residential placement was the correct placement, El Camino could not place that student. It would have to go to the district anyway to make that placement. And so those were the pros of why we should do this. As a cons, LAUSD could be upset about the resolution, and LAUSD could make it difficult with the charter renewal process. I think also, that wasn't mentioned, also, LAUSD has a private school office, so they already have an office that deals with these students as well. So they have a private school office when a student needs to be placed in a private school setting. They have an office that takes care of it.
Dr. Davis, any questions?
I'm trying to process all this. It's just very different from things that I've experienced in the past, and so I'm trying to process all this information. I'm a little confused on the boundaries, to be honest, because, and I may be wrong, but I was always told that a charter school, whether it's conversion or not conversion, the boundaries were like the state of California. And as long as there was capacity at the school had to take that child.
So in our charter, and I think with most of the conversion charters, it was written in there that there's a chronological how you would take your students, and the former attendance boundary was that's number one.
Okay.
Then number two, I don't know, but say siblings, and then number three would be teachers, students, and then lottery system, so forth and so on. So in our charter, it does say that we would first take kids within the former attendance boundary, even though, like you said, other charters do not have boundaries.
Right.
But at least the 4 high school conversions have boundaries, and they've been working to try to eliminate those boundaries.
Okay, I had another question. So I always do better when it's like tangible examples, like Johnny Jones attends, make up a name and attends this school. So can you take us through one of those like tangible type of examples?
I would say student X is at Summit View.
Okay.
And has been at Summit View from 1st grade to 8th grade.
Okay. And they're getting ready to go to high school.
Right. So they'll have an IEP for high school placement. What we're saying is they don't plan on enrolling in El Camino. They don't plan on enrolling in El Camino. So we're saying the district, because if they're at a private school already, we're saying that the district should do that IEP, because why should we spend our resources and lose that money for our kids when they don't plan on coming to El Camino?
So I hear that. If it was another situation and that kid was planning to enroll here,
so say
we would do that.
Student Y, 1st grade to 8th grade, they've been at Summit View, and then they said, you know what, we want to enroll at El Camino. We would do an IEP 30 days, make sure this is appropriate placement, and then go from there. And then through that process, say this wasn't the right placement, the IEP team would decide, but then that kid would be in limbo for 30 some days or more until the district decided that Summit View was the correct place.
So here, I get that. I get both. Those are great examples. I appreciate that very much. So I guess where I get nervous, or I get worried and I get concerned is, special education is governed by the Office of Civil Rights. Everything, it's all federal. IDEA, offers of faith, civil rights, ed code, all these different things have to do with a child's civil rights. And so if we say, and I understand, it's a huge cost, like I get it. That is very clear to me. And it's just a question. What I'm worried about is if we say, sorry, we can't do this. We have this resolution, it was board approved. That parent goes to the district, and the district's like, well, we're not doing it. Well, then, I'm just trying to string the beads together. Then what happens? Is it a civil right?
Say what happens to them.
Because I'm really concerned about that part of it, because I don't want us to have that happen, and I don't want families to have that happen, and I'm just really concerned.
So let me give you student X.
Okay, all right.
So and Mr. Rue will correct.
Tangible example.
1 through 8 at Summit View. We say, hey, we're not doing it. The district says they're not doing it. So they say, all right, we're going to enroll at El Camino.
Okay.
We go through the process.
Okay.
And then eventually it's going to get pushed back because we can't place in private schools. It's going to get placed back on the district.
Yeah.
But who's hurt here is a student, because now they're not at the former school, or that parent has to pay out of their pocket because they have to go through the process of an IEP.
I know, and as the parent rep on the board, that's where I'm struggling. I'm struggling with that.
Just to clarify a couple of pieces.
Yeah.
Number one, anybody that's in process of being assessed or holding an IEP now would not be impacted.
Right.
We follow those through to completion.
Right.
Number two, we've got a couple of different situations. One is if a student is placed at a non-public school through the district. Another is if a student is parentally placed at a private school for which the parent may be pursuing litigation. So for students that are at a non-public school, for students that are at a private school, regardless. So anybody that is in 9th through 12th grade that lives in our former attendance boundary, the district sends to us to be assessed and to hold the IEP. Let's say we say, you know what, we believe the student is correctly placed, they need to be at an NPS, or we don't believe the student is correctly placed, they need to be at an NPS.
Could you?
Unlike
What's an NPS?
non-public schools, which are schools that are generally paid for through public funds but are available to students only through the IEP process.
Right.
Right.
So if it's a student that attends El Camino, we pay for the school, we do the process. I send out an offer letter with possible schools, they go through a whole process to be accepted, and we name the school on the IEP once the parent and the school are in agreement. If it's a student that does not attend here, the actual placement, the actual name of the school comes from the district. It does not come from us.
Oh.
We recommend non-public school at the IEP meeting. I send it to the SELPA saying we have recommended non-public school. The parent then has to work with the district to get the name of the placement.
Okay.
That can take 3 to 4 months. I've had it take 6 to 12 months for some students. Because it is not our student, we have zero control over naming the actual placement.
Right.
And so we are waiting on the district, we are following up with the district trying to get placements for the students. That puts us and the parents in a very difficult position. Whereas if it's a district school who can work closely with the private school office, with the SELPA who can do that, they have better ability to get the placement in place faster than we do. Because it's not our student, because we don't have any control over it, it puts us in a very difficult position, and it also pulls us into litigation if that should occur.
That was going to be my question as far as liability.
It does for you.
Which does happen.
So our goal is to support students. At this point, it puts us in a very difficult position because we can't tell the parents anything but, okay, we're waiting for USD, you can contact LUSD, you can contact the SELPA, we're following them, and we have nothing more to give, and so then we have an IEP where we have recommended a non-public school or a residential placement, and we're waiting on the district to do that with no control over it.
Right. Right.
For a
So
student that isn't ours, that hasn't attended, that we have absolutely nothing that we can do to move the process along, which is very frustrating.
Right.
Because they are not quit working with the charters.
No, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Couple of clarifying questions. How many students did we have last year?
6 to 7.
6 to
Last year,
7.
yeah, we had 7.
Of those 7 students, how many were, how many did not attend here because we don't have the proper services to provide to them? And what I'm getting at is if that parent chose to put them in an NPS, or they chose to put them in a private school, not because we didn't have the services.
Probably half of them.
Okay.
Half of them were non-litigious that were parentally placed, that they chose to place there, that we offered El Camino and they chose not to attend. The other half were not interested in attending El Camino under any circumstances.
And I don't know if David, you know this, on each one of those students, those 7 students, the cost is about how much?
Around $5,000 to $15,000.
And
That's without litigation.
That's without litigation. Did we have any litigation last year?
We did.
Okay,
We
so
did, and with the district cases, we paid for our own legal costs.
and that money could have been spent on the other 3. I think it's 300. And, what do we have?
We have 370 students with IEP,
So that
which is
money
approximately
could have
20
been-
more than we had last year.
That money could have been spent on those kids and programs for those kids in our school.
But that money's being spent on children that don't attend or work.
That have never attended here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Not attended here, but applied.
Did not apply.
That's what I'm saying. That
Never
never
intention of
applied.
coming.
Right.
And no intention of coming.
We just paid the bill.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
How did it work before we converted to a charter?
We were part of LA Unified, so same thing. If they would say, go to El Camino. We'd say, you have to go through the process, and they say, no, I'm not gonna go through the process. And sometimes they would go straight to the district, and then they would bounce them back, and then the kid's in limbo, or the family's in limbo, or the family says, I'm just gonna place, and then litigation will follow.
But the district would be paying the expenses.
Correct. And the districts, if they go to a private school, the district's gonna pay the expenses anyway.
Right, but in the process, now, the district's trying to get us to pay those expenses, no matter how it turns out.
What they want us, what the district wants us to do is hold all the assessments and do all that kind of stuff.
Right,
And we're
it's the
saying,
assessments.
you're not an El Camino student, you're a district student, go to the district to get assessed, because the district eventually is going to place you.
And just to be clear, the $5,000 to $15,000 does not include the cost of placement or services or anything like
Right,
that.
right.
Currently, LAUSD is covering that piece for the students that don't attend and have
Right.
never attended through the gentleman's agreement that they refused to put in writing and could change their minds at any time.
They refused to what?
Put it in writing.
And it's a gentleman's agreement. And David, on the now therefore be it resolved, you have, second line, for students who reside in ECR is pre-charter.
So that's the attendance zone.
Right,
They got former attendance area,
right.
same. Which
Okay.
one is that,
The first, it's on the second page of your
second page.
resolution. Now therefore be it resolved. All the way, down here.
Yeah, former attendance area.
Okay. I think.
Shannon, questions?
No, I think we just were answered most of them, all of them.
Mr. Koffel?
Well, my screen just changed. I was curious, Ken, were you able to change that one paragraph we were discussing?
Just to elaborate a little, all four of the conversion high schools have this same resolution. All four are looking at the same thing.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because, sometimes to follow in someone's footsteps may not be the best course of action. And I know that one school has already voted on this.
Correct.
The school board, excuse me.
Yes, one school board has passed the resolution.
And two are still considering it. And I think their decisions were to let's get more information on this, let's review it further.
They discussed and intend to vote in January, is my understanding.
And I think they had some public comment on this. What? I think they had public comment on this.
Did you want to speak about this issue?
I don't know what to say more than what I included in my email, except, that I, made some people aware that, Birmingham had this on their agenda on Saturday as a discussion only. I don't know, they don't record their meetings, so I don't know what the discussion was. And that there is, I don't know what council is saying to El Camino to get the charters, the independent charters together to do this. But I know that there is a lawsuit going through the 9th District Appeals right now, Court of Appeals, with Downey School District regarding this exact subject. And Downey has consistently lost. And now they're on appeal again. I think this is their third appeal. Why do we need to have a lawsuit? That's why? Why do we need to go there?
And then you did hear all of Emily's, I know you were in a conversation, so I want to make sure you heard all of her comments and presentation.
I haven't. It's your decision now.
Right.
I'll be able to review everything and ask additional questions later, but I wouldn't encourage a vote.
I, looking at it as a member of the board of fiduciary of this budget also, I don't at the moment have enough information from a legal point of view. I have not heard from our counsel. I know the recommendation, but this to me sounds like a huge potential can of worms that I would like to look into a little bit more from a legal point of view. I have things circled here that I understand what you're saying, but I just don't have enough information about it. So what I would like to do is, from my position, I would like to get some more information. I would like to speak to council. I would like to look into this a little more. This is a big issue, and to have 72 hours to go through this, for me personally, I did not I didn't do enough due diligence here to vote. So
can I just say one thing? I would probably say go ahead and do that. We're not gonna have anything new to offer. I think we pretty much have laid out why the resolution is good for the school. So I would say if you need to, or the board needs to talk to legal counsel, that you bring that back to the board.
Well, I'm not saying which way of voting.
I'm just saying the information, because we're not gonna be able to get any new information. I think the information that we presented is pretty much everything that we have. So if the board needs to get more time to make sure the legal aspects of this, then I would say table it till January and get that information. But then I would ask that the board, whoever, Scott, if you're the person that's going to lead this, for you to bring back that information to the board.
So are you asking to find out historically how much they've spent, or what kind of money we're talking about as far as saving in the future?
I want to see what it costs. There's the cost benefit analysis that I'm thinking of, is how much this is costing, considering who is benefiting, and here's that situation, and I don't know what I don't know. And that's really the big question in my head, is I don't even know what questions I'm not asking. And I think this issue is large enough where I need to get my hands around it a little more, me personally. And what I'd like to do on my as a board member here is table it. I will do my due diligence. I request the board do their own due diligence, and we bring this back in January.
I think that's really prudent. I think I do. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Rue and Mr. Hussey, because I know way more about this now than I did walking in.
Yes.
I really appreciate the tangible examples. I really appreciate walking us through and getting us to a point where we can wrap our head around it a little bit better. But I do think it's prudent to do that, because I don't feel confident voting tonight either, personally.
All right, you want to see?
I would say the other thing questions to ask for, table as far as that is also looking at what's in the best interest of the student who's never going to attend here, because to have them come through El Camino, I don't think is beneficial to that family. I think that we're making them run through hoops that they should not have to run.
Yeah, see, these are all things I need to get a better grasp of.
That hoop only needs to be gone through if this resolution is passed.
I'm sorry.
No. That's correct.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna make a motion to table.
You don't need a motion. You can table.
No.
No. You don't need a motion to table. You can table yourself.
You just table it.
That's the chair. It's
Okay.
tabled.
Unless the
I'd
majority
like
of
to
the
table
board,
it until January.
unless the majority of the board objects to the
I
table.
just ask if there's a motion, and if there's no motion, it's essentially table.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept this item as presented? Seeing that, I'm going to table it until January, when I do request the board do their own due diligence, as we can't do the due diligence as a party right now. So this motion is tabled until the January meeting. That one was B. B is tabled. Item C. Discuss and vote on the revised classified salary. Actually, what I'd like to do is, maybe we can take a break right here.
I'm ready.
I'm good.
Just keep going? Okay. All right. So C, discuss and vote on revised classified salary management table. Mr. Hussey.
All right, so like Mr. Silverson said, revise the classified salary attainment, which adds a marketing and communications coordinator position. This position would be to support the executive director and the school. Also, with saying the school, that's the parents and staff. The marketing and communications coordinator would be responsible for long-term brand strategies of ECR, including developing and implementing marketing communication plans on behalf of the school, as well as providing administrative support and acting as a parent liaison to provide clear communication between staff, parents, and community. So that's.
Can I say one thing? So the version that was included with the board packet was basically the same in configuration as the one that was previously voted on by the board, which includes this, if you look on the screen, the manager, say human resources, 1.5% flat increase, and the utility increase. There was some question as to whether or not this would cause confusion, as to whether someone who was going to accept this position thought that they were going to get that amount, say step 2, 65,617 plus the other two amounts. So instead of that, I would propose that we simplify it and take out that wording, just make it like this, which makes it look exactly like the prior one.
Because it included that.
Right, because this number, step 2 number does include the 1.5% and the commensurate utility increase. So it's already in there, and it's also noted on the bottom that for steps 3, 4, 5, the employees will receive the annual 1.5% increase and whatever the increase is that utility negotiates during the next CBA. So I would suggest that we vote on this more simplified version of the table.
Is that because I couldn't read it?
Mainly because Mr. Koval couldn't do the math.
Could I ask you again? I'm sorry. Any questions?
Mr.
Redmond.
Mr. Hussey,
I'll get to you. Give me 1 second, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
So a couple things. One is, I guess one question is, why are we not considering this as 2 separate positions? Why are we combining the external marketing with the internal, for lack of a better way to say it, communications?
I still think we're still going to work with a marketing firm to do the outreach with the social media and the zip codes and that kind of stuff, the rebranding, and this person would be that liaison to work with staff, parents, and be able to communicate with the marketing firm.
Okay, now my second question is, and this is based on previous history, what are the measures of accountability for this particular position? So do we have a job scorecard? Do we have some mechanism for actually measuring their success in this position?
Currently, I would say no, but we would develop one.
Well, that would have to be in the job description.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
Well, we have a job description, but Brian's asking for a scorecard. I mean, we'd have to develop a scorecard.
Well, I think that's what the job description is. It's a guideline so that you can measure whether they're meeting the duties that they were hired for.
And currently, all employees get evaluated on a yearly basis based on their ability to fulfill their job duties and responsibilities. I don't know of any other position in which we have a separate scorecard per se. Obviously, there are some metrics that can be looked at in terms of their ability the person's ability to work with our outside marketing firm, to bring in additional funding as necessary, and also in terms of the quality of stakeholder engagement and communications with our parents and our other groups. I think that would be something that I'm sure could be discussed as part of the person's evaluation on an ongoing basis.
I would concur with
I appreciate that, but this is actually where we've gone wrong in the past by not being more deliberate about expectations and performance. If it's all qualitative and sort of judgment, I think we've missed the boat tremendously. So I appreciate your input on that, but I feel like we're just going to continue to repeat the same sorts of mistakes we've made in the past.
I would concur with you, Brian, in the frustration last year of our inability to encourage removal for someone for failure to lack to do the job. So I would be very concerned with that.
So when, being an HR guy, when we post a job, you know, we develop the job description based on expectations that we want to see the person complete and perform the tasks and duties and responsibilities and things like that. Between the time we post with the job description, I completely agree with Mr. Archibald that we could be developing those metrics. We should be developing those metrics and whatever and have them in place. So when we're doing the interviews and when we eventually offer the position, the people know 100%, it's very intentional, that they know these are the things they're expected to do and that they'll be evaluated on. I think that's really important because that way the person's going to the job with their eyes wide open. We're going into the situation of hiring them with our eyes wide open and what our expectations are, you know, the criteria and all those different things they're looking at. We just did this in Ventura about 8 or 9 months ago, and it's the best investment we've made in that school district. The person we hired has the branding, the rebranding, the social media footprint, and the media footprint that they've extended for Ventura Unified School District is so much bigger and better than it ever was before, and it's bringing more people to events, bringing more people to the school, bringing in alumni to donate, gifts in kind. Like it's just, there's no end to it in terms of the positive results and things we'll get back from this. This is something that will really, really help the school. But again,
I'd love to
just talk.
Yeah, and we were very fortunate. We hired somebody that had experience at Cal State Northridge doing this, and that had experience working for a local city government in this. They're just outstanding, and so when we do an interview panel, perhaps I can encourage that person to maybe be part of the panel, and also Canal Valley Unified School District has a chief information officer. Simi Valley Unified has a chief information officer, which they perform those duties of. They really perform more of that, the marketing communications. Ours is called a communications coordinator because we're very intentional about it, just like what Mr. Archibald's talking about. But I agree, that criteria and that evaluation stuff is really important.
I agree with Dr. Davis. I can't possibly support this unless there is clear expectation.
So can I reach out to you and
100%.
get some?
Something else I wanted.
Yes.
You touched on it, and I was going to bring it up, but for as long as I've been sitting here, we've been waiting for somebody that is also a grant writer. And I will pay somebody lots of money if they bring in lots of money. And I don't see a grant writer as being as part of this job description. So my thought here is, you said that this person will be working with an outside marketing company. Well, does that mean we go for an outside grant writer? Because somewhere under the auspices of this person has to be grants. We have to go after the grants, and we keep zeroing on our grants. Although I understand we just took in 5,000, but I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants that we're not players on because we don't have anybody to search for it. So I think that maybe we should.
So in the job description, it does say coordinate, oversee grant writing. So
but who's going to do the grant writing if they're just overseeing it?
So this person could reach out and find grant writers to generate that money. Because right now, we can have grant writers earn a percentage of the grants that they write.
It's against the law for a nonprofit to do that.
Scott,
can't, a grant writer in a nonprofit.
Pay somebody lots of money, that's not how I roll on the board.
That what? I'm sorry.
About paying that person a lot of money if he's going to
Well, you can bonus a grant writer.
That's not what I mean, Scott. You said you would pay somebody lots of money.
Yeah, if somebody.
We're not the executive director, we're not paying them.
Obviously, yes. But if somebody would come in here and is capable of bringing in $1 million in grants, then there's a very distinct profession right there in grant writing. And we have to tap that because there's a lot of money, as I said, that we're not seeing here. And I don't really know what the market is for grant writers, successful grant writers, I should say. I don't know what the market is on that. But I think if somebody brings in $1 million in grant, whether it's restricted or unrestricted, there's a market price for that. I don't know what it is.
In the district I work in, we also did that. In the last year, we created these 2 positions. And again, it always depends on, it's the who. It's like the person who you find and hire, right? So we did pay this person a little bit more than we typically would. Number one, because of their experience and things they've done in the past, and because of what you just said. And in terms of what they're going to bring in. And this person in just 6 months has brought in already more money to the school district than they're being paid this year in salary. But again, it depends on how good they are. And they're called a chief innovation officer. Because they're also dealing with career tech ed and other things. And I'm just giving an example of one school district. But it's huge because any money that could be brought in via grants is money that doesn't have to be spent out of the general fund. So it's such a big, and we all know that, but it's to say it, I think is important because it's such a big deal. Because we don't have endless streams of money from looking at the, I mean, we're in good shape, but it's just, it's always better to have more.
I know it's a very specific line of work.
Yeah.
To ask somebody who doesn't know how to do it to learn how to do it, I think that we're missing the boat on that. Maybe you could be more specific as to what the person can and cannot do in the way of hiring.
I think I'll also look at, talk to Dr. Davis, the Chief Innovation Officer, what that looks like, and invest.
I can send a job description tomorrow.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely want to take this route. I just want to make sure we do it the right way.
Right. Okay.
And just know when you see it, it's going to be slanted toward career tech ed. But it involves a lot of different.
So we're going to table this and bring it back in January. Okay.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, because we're looking at 2 different people here. A marketing person is not going to be able to do grant writing and vice versa, and coordinate and communicate with parents and do all that stuff.
Right. I guess we could move it forward. You feel there's enough distinction?
Personally, I do. I don't know what the other board members feel, but
Think there's enough distinction to move forward?
There is, but he talked about this person being more experienced and having a higher salary. So I think that we wouldn't be budgeting the appropriate amount.
No, that would be for somebody else. That would be.
No, that's your marketing person, right?
no. There's the marketing was paid pretty much going rate, like market rate.
Got it.
The other one got.
You're talking about just the second. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then if it's just for the marketing, then it should be fine.
But with Brian's question about how we're going to evaluate, I thought there was additional language that needed to be put into the job description.
Yeah, but we're talking about just setting a salary.
I'll be working with Dr. Davis and he'll give me the...
No, we don't have a job description, so that's going to be developed.
Well, again, I just want to make sure if we approve it, that language is in there so that we have the ability to evaluate that person effectively.
Yeah, the duties and responsibilities in the job description is what the person will be evaluated on.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's inherent, it's there. But what Brian's saying makes a lot of sense. Prior to the interviews being taken place and things like that, to have that other criteria in place is critical. I mean, I agree with him 100%.
All right, so I'm gonna move this, well, I'm not gonna table it because I could see this breaking off into another discussion on another position.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move this forward. Do anybody want to move this motion?
I move to approve the revision to the classifieds management salary table to include a marketing and communications coordinator as the only change to the table. That's how it's written, right?
So not the numbers, just the position? Is that what you're saying?
No, it would include the.
It would include the salary.
The new table.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the new table. Yeah. My fault. So, I don't know, do I need to restate it?
No.
No? Okay.
So I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Chen, seconds? Daniel, is this roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
So Beatrice Chen,
Yes.
Brian Archibald.
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
Darren Ryber,
Yes.
Gregory Basile,
No.
Jeff Davis,
Yes.
Scott Silverstein,
Yes.
Stephen Copal.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And next item. Discuss, item
Let's
D.
pass.
Item C.
Item
D.
D, right. Discuss and vote on continuing bus pass program. Mr. Husky.
So I want to jump down to, we had 144 students that attended ECR last year that are involved in the free bus program this year. 108 of those students either improved or had the same attendance rate compared to the previous year's semester. 85 students that improved their attendance currently have a 99% attendance rate, while 23 students did not see a change in their attendance rate, but they're still at the 95% attendance rate. The 85 students that improved, the 85 students improved a total of 190 days from the fall of 2019 to the from the fall of 2018 to the fall of 2019. Of the remaining 63 students that did not attend ECR last year, they have an average attendance rate of 99%. There are 4 students that we did not factor into the numbers because they got onto the program late. Out of the 144 students, 66% improved or maintained their arrival times at first period compared to last year, and 86 students saw an improvement or maintained their GPA during the fall 2019 semester compared to last year. Currently, we have 211 students that have received the TAP cards. Continuing the program for these 211 students for 6 months at a monthly cost of $24 would equal $30,384. I added 25 additional students that might want to apply. I think we've had 3 or 4 in the last month, which would be a cost of $3,600. So there's a potential total fiscal impact of $33,948. Again, I think the bus pass provides qualifies, enhances and improves the support we provide to our students and alleviates the anxiety and stress students experience in trying to find a way to school. Students will be able to focus on their academics and get to school on time. Although we faced some difficulties getting the permanent bus passes at the beginning, the students and parents have appreciated our efforts in getting the program started at the school. That's what I have.
Any comments?
Just real quick, I think this is great for all stakeholders. I don't see any negative to this at all. And I think we should just fire it up and get it done.
Real quick, so as this stands as approved, so this free and reduced, the reduced students, it was stated to pay $2.50 per month. I would ask the board to consider waiving that.
That's right, we did initially.
So we're re-voting for this, to the reduce, and, there's 42 students currently that are reduced, there's 152 that are free, but if the board would consider waiving that $2.50 fee.
Which would increase it to
Not much.
Well, the numbers here are calculated based on
his.
On the 24, yeah, on the 24, with that in mind. Waiving the 250.
Based on the data,
right.
that's, and based on the data that's in the report, what Mr. Hussey just said.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would think this would just be in the budget every year going forward. I mean, this is wonderful. Again, that's not for me to, just throwing it out.
I would say the intervention coordinators did a tremendous job of selling it and getting the kids to bring it back, and then getting the kids to appreciate it.
Everybody involved.
And just to think outside, and think of Mark, this is something.
Well, the parents appreciate it.
This is a wonderful book.
I'll make a motion.
At least for the parents.
Without the 250?
Without.
Okay, just that, it would have to be stated, it doesn't change.
Right.
I would make the motion, but without the 250 enhancement. In other words, we're.
Free and reduced would be, it would cover both.
Include free and reduced in the overall. So in other words, we're not making them pay the 250.
What's the financial impact of that? I'm sorry.
What would be the financial?
So, I mean, if you have 42 students, times $2.50 per month, right?
Right. 800.
$630.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so we have to modify the motion to reflect that.
That's right.
I did.
Yep, you did.
That's what I just told you.
So, but I need a motion with that.
No, we're continuing it for how, I think, that's up to the board, but that would have to be stated too. Or unless it's indefinite, I don't know.
No,
Can't,
we don't do it.
I didn't think, so. No,
The end of the school
so
year.
it goes to the end of, right, so finish out the year.
Right.
I'll make a motion to continue the bus program through the end of the year and include those 44.
The
free and
which
reduced.
would include the reduced students.
Free and reduced.
No, reduced.
Reduced.
No, it wouldn't include the reduced, the reduced students would not have to pay $2.50 per month.
Correct.
Can I,
Yes.
the motion would be to approve continuing the bus pass program for the spring semester, including covering the entirety of the cost for free and reduced price for students.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
So a motion from Mr. Ryburn and a second from Mr. Colton.
Okay, Mr. Chang.
Beatrice Chen?
Yes.
Brian Archibald?
Yes.
Darren Ryburn?
Yes.
Gregory Basile?
Yes.
Jeff Davis?
Yes.
Scott Silverstein?
Yes.
Stephen Colton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item E, discuss and vote on increasing psychiatric social workers' schedule.
All right, currently we have a psychiatric social worker, PSW, at the school for 3 days a week. There's a need to have a PSW for 5 days a week. The PSW supports the school climate and safety through intervention, lunch groups, and presentations to prevent social isolation. The PSW implements school-wide positive behaviors and interventions to create a more nurturing environment for students to learn. The PSW has been a vital component of the multidisciplinary team that has cut down on suspensions and has met students for individual counseling sessions. The PSW was also part of the team to create a referral form, giving teachers and staff the opportunity to refer students for additional services. The PSW provides mental health service to over 80 students on a weekly, bi-weekly, and as-needed basis, and this has been within 4 months. The PSW has provided crisis support services, included self-injury, suicide threat assessments, and a variety of other topics, 108 times to date. The PSW has provided group sessions and visited a variety of classrooms to speak on mindfulness, stress management, coping strategies, teen dating, violence, and internet safety. The PSW has also provided parent trainings throughout the school year. Having a PSW all 5 days will support our students and respond effectively to the unique needs of the individual student. The total cost to have the PSW on campus for an additional 2 days for the spring semester would be $27,000 for the spring semester.
Any questions? Nope. Correct. Cool. Is there any correlation between the social workers, LSW in this?
Yes.
No, I know, but the other therapists that we have here.
School psychologists.
School psychologists. There's no correlation, it's two separate things.
Two separate, yeah. The main focus for the school psychologists are special needs students, testing, assessments. They will do some of the work that the PSW does, but with the PSW, it's basically opened up a door for those students to get the access that they need.
Okay, seeing no further questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the PSW 5 days a week. This is that's based on input I've had from some couple students, some parents, some community members. This is a very positive thing that I think we need.
I have a motion moved. Do I have a second? I have a second for Mr. Caldwell. Mr. Chang.
Beatrice Chen,
Yes.
Brian Archibald,
Yes.
Darren Reiber,
Yes.
Gregory Basile,
Yes.
Jeff Davis,
Yes.
Scott Silverstein,
Yes.
Stephen Copal.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we move to item 5A, discuss and vote on resolution on board vacancy, regarding the board vacancy.
Alright, so I contacted Mr. Cole Gutierrez one more time, and his response was, your board has to do what it feels appropriate. I can share that we are pursuing the appointment, and I have had a meeting on it today, which was a week ago, possibly early in the new year. So again, I have no idea what they're going to do, if they're going to do anything, so. If ever. Correct.
Based on that input from some of our constituents, I actually believe that a parent rep might be considered. So I think maybe we could hold off just one more month on this. That's just my suggestion.
You mean tabling this?
Well, I just. Can I just state my rationale for making it a classified representative as opposed to a parent representative? In a lot of ways, the community representatives are already representing the parents. I mean, if you really think about it, the community representatives are individuals who live or work in the nearby community, and so they should already have a rapport and relationship with the parents. Whereas the classified staff, we currently have 150 or so certificated staff teachers. We have 3 representatives on our board. We have about 90 classified staff, and we only have 1 representative for them. So I thought it would be equitable, most equitable to have it be another classified representative. That's the only rationale. I don't have anything against parents. Obviously, I have.
I just want to mention that, classified have a union and teachers have a union. And the community representative, I have never seen when they're being selected, that the resumes and the people who are running for that seat are disclosed. Am I wrong? It's usually sent just to an ad hoc committee who decides amongst yourselves that community representative position.
No, their resumes are posted. Yeah, all of them are posted.
The community is voted.
Yeah, no, they're all posted.
It's voted by the ad hoc, it's by you, and then at the pool by an ad hoc, but I've
It's
never seen the
nominated.
posting.
It's nominated.
I believe for the last election, all resumes and candidates
Yeah.
were put on the website, the board website.
Including the one before that, because I don't know who's on.
I don't remember, but I know for the last one.
We're not changing the, right. That, everything stays the same, it's just,
No.
okay.
And this would be with the explicit understanding that if LAUSD does send someone, that person's, and we do end up sitting someone on the board, that person's term would end effective as of the day that LAUSD sends somebody. So that would be unfortunate, but if LAUSD does not send anyone, then this would continue indefinitely, and the position would comply with the terms of the bylaws in terms of the election and everything else. And I will also state the reason why I wrote down 2021 as the end of the term is because we currently have 333, should be 333.
Yep.
That's the only reason why. So it would be, even as it stands, it would be a slightly abbreviated term for the individual.
On the term would, and the district can put someone whenever they want, but I would think at the end of the MOU that, no, I don't know.
Well,
I
remember,
would think at the end of the MOU they wouldn't send anybody anyway.
under the terms of the charter, even without an MOU,
They
USD
have a right,
always
they have a right to do it? Is
put
that it?
someone on the board.
I'm tending to sign with Mr. Ryburn and give LAUSD 30 more days.
The only reason why I would suggest moving forward is that this election will not take place until January. We could make the election later on.
But the district can always supersede that and by not putting somebody on the board.
They could.
So why wait for them? We've been waiting.
Yeah, we could put the election after the decision, and
Yeah.
we don't even have to have the election if LAUSD does something.
I mean, that's up to the board. If the board wants to wait until January to decide to start advertising and hold the election in February, we could do that.
Mr. Nakazumo, what was his representation?
He was
I know him, what was he?
He was representing LAUSD.
He was the LAUSD.
Right, so he was the LAUSD rep on the board, but it wasn't like a classified, it was an LAUSD rep. Okay,
Right.
Got it. Okay. Need that history.
Well, I'm okay if we were to delay implementing this, but I'm okay with voting tonight. Now, we just have to decide what the classification is gonna be.
So that was my next question. So if we were to vote yes, we're saying yes to a classified rep. If we're to vote no, we're voting no to the whole thing, or just the fact that it's a classified rep?
We could modify the motion.
Just asking.
Yeah, we can modify the motion. It's
And the resolution.
yeah. Can you go through the listing again? How many we are? And
So currently we have 8 board members, 3 teacher representatives, certificated. We have 3 community representatives. We have 1 classified and 1 parent. So that makes the 8.
And one, I'm sorry, the last one?
Parent.
1 parent and 1 classified.
3, 2,
3,
1,
3, 1, 1.
3, 3, 1.
Three teacher, 3 community, 1 classified, 1 parent. Any comments?
Looking at that makeup, again, I would hold that if you look at the issues, you have 3 teacher and 1 classified, which is all school staff. That's 4. And then currently you have 3 community, 1 parent. I would continue my opposition and look at maybe a parent rep. I think that there's more, we have 3,500 kids and parents out there. I think they might require just as much, if not more, representation. So,
Want to move that motion?
I tend to agree with that.
I would make a motion to approve this additional position as a parent representative.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I would second the motion.
I have a second from Ms. Chen. Do I have anybody want to do anything else? We could, I can't make any suggestions.
Nope.
Not seeing none. We're going to vote on the modification to the existing resolution as presented to include a parent rep and not a classified rep. So, Mr. Chang?
We also need to discuss the timelines. Is the board okay with the timelines as specified in the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Or do you want to move the election to
No.
February?
No. I want it as is.
Okay. So we will begin posting the position, immediately advertise the position, immediately the election. Just lost my place. So the election, so we will begin marketing the position immediately. The deadline to apply will be January 15th, 2020, 5 p.m. I believe that's a Friday. The election will be by stakeholders, parents. We will send out an email blast with a unique election ID, and will take place over 3 days, January 20, 21st, and 22nd. The winner will be announced at the board meeting on January 23rd, and at the time the board can choose to install that person at that meeting.
A quick question on that, would it be just current parents or could it be former parent also?
So the way the bylaws are
parent,
written,
former student.
right, the way the bylaws are written, a parent of a current student cannot run. They are
Just wanted
disqualified.
the public to hear that.
But a parent of a student who previously attended is eligible.
But the parent, my understanding was that the parent rep doesn't have to be a former parent, it could be anyone.
It could be anybody, exactly.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one question? I'm not trying to change this, but the definition of parent in the bylaw of this,
I don't know if there's a specific definition. I think that it would be probably what the traditional
the
interpretation.
reason I ask that, I'm talking about foster parents, I'm talking about
Guardianship.
guardians. Yeah, I'm just curious as to what the scope of that is.
Well, if it's, they don't have to be a former parent, so it could be really any adult over the age of 18 that's not a parent student.
I think Mr. Silverstein's question is, could a foster parent of a current student member that
Is that what you're
disqualifies?
Yeah. Is it clear? I just want to make sure it's clear.
It just says parent. The parent representative shall not have a child attending a school operated by.
I think that word is in there, parent representative, you said, right?
The parent
So-
representative shall
so
not have a
even as a
child.
foster parent, I'm representing that child, so I can't run for that position. So I think that language is sufficient.
Yeah, so during the application process, we ask whether or not you currently have a child attending the school or any affiliation, relationship with anyone who attends or works at the school. So we should be able to determine that.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Then we have motion on the table, I have a seconded. Mr. Chang?
Yes. Beatrice Chen?
Yes.
Brian Archibald?
Yes.
Darren Ryberg?
Yes.
Gregory Basile?
Yes.
Jeff Davis?
Yes.
Scott Silverstein?
Yes.
Stephen Colpaul?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. That brings us to, closed session. And I thank you.
Thank you for your commitment to the school. It's really appreciated.
Awesome.
Just
the chairs we can burn.
Yeah. We are now, before recording has paused. Lisa Ring.
How are we breaking?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna take a break for 15 minutes. It is now 6, no. We'll take a 5-minute break. It is now 8:15.
Old bill. Other than your closer, maybe your body heat would.
Daniel, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Given the fact that this venue is open to the public, that means that do I have to be here when we reopen to end the meeting?
I mean, technically, but if you know, if no one saw you leave, how would we be able to?
No, people can leave as long as we still have forums. What we do.
I mean, nobody's showing up.
No.
And I had 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So,
He
doesn't count for forums.
He doesn't come for conference, it's a teleconference location. It has to be open during the entirety of the meeting.
He can leave.
Yeah.
What?
It's a teleconference.
He can leave.
I'm gonna try to log in from my phone.
Or on traffic, they upgraded their.
Hair falling down. Hair's falling down.
Does that work? Tell Lisa, if you're still there, you can sign off now. Everybody.
And the
Go around, right?
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
Lisa Ring.
Right.
I mean, it's what, a mile away or 2 miles? I can see it. It's 4, but who cares? Is that far? Yeah. So I mean, I could see if it's 20 miles, maybe 10 miles. No, not sure.
Anybody see the board shall be anywhere from. It only has minimums.
Oh my God.
Right, 6
Always the opposite. No, I really chop a lot before you use it, so I just take it very seriously as well.
The fact that you're offering.
Roger, how are you today?
All right, how are you?
Good. Hi, Joe. Nice to meet you.
I used to work here. I'm so tired. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm so funny, man.
Arbitration. I
mean, it's just funny, because back in the day, I know, but back in the day, it's funny.
He thinks that he deserves a huge.
And I'd run in here every morning.
He wants to move to the admin assistant position.
You know what? It's almost like my job. He deserves it.
Somebody double. I want to make sure Letty.
Yeah, you get a promotion.
She had a
you
few
have to get
questions.
one.
I want to make sure she.
No.
She had a question. Her, conversation.
And everyone else knows, we've been treated just like this.
He's the one that wins a lotto and then complains.
Right.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
I said that to one of them, we were in a physics school.
Roger, you got 15 minutes and then I'm leaving.
Oh, I tend to be fast with that.
He's tired.
I am so tired. I go to bed between 8 and 9.
So we're over kids, right? So we told me, it's enormous, it's one student, two. She won her own, some people split, okay. So go to our DC, and says, I really do it. And I look at him, I go, she's the type that wins a lottery, and complains about that. He goes, yes.
Great. He claims he does all the duties, but you know.
Give it about a week, you know.
And he is gonna get more money.
He does, yeah.
He does. But he fills his hours.
Yeah, I mean,
Richard.
And he said, and he's being respectful, like he wasn't throwing, like he wasn't saying, he just did.
And Jenny, I saw Jenny finish up and I don't think it's cool. She said, yeah, I guess it's not going well. She was trying to hop in there. And it's just between the two, because she cares about the school. He doesn't. But no, I collaboration. They go through this.
And you're in a
second.
No, you don't.
Oh, so you changed. But you know, we never said you could have more than the number of days in your basis. We never said you could not take vacation and have that.
That didn't happen. Because that wasn't a real issue. That's what I got originally. The real issue was, right, flexibility.
Yeah.
That's, because the first thing you know we can't give you more days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve did.
That's right. And that's why he's disruptive.
He's such a.
We're just holding like, I go, what do you want?
You can have more programs for
I
offering.
said, okay, now I know what I'm working with.
Is this video off? Because I
Right
still
now,
see
I mean,
myself.
we have.
It's on.
Our operating.
Are you watching yourself?
Put a
Put a post-it over.
That's, yeah. I have that. Yeah.
Where park that
It's gonna start, right?
Well, they already did the parents and kids are happy. And
Oh, they did already?
over winter break, we're gonna start showing.
My God, it must have been no problem if my parents didn't say a word to me. They didn't say,
Oh my God, what's going on? What's going on?
My mom and dad was right across the street. On Marion. Or the parking lot, that's right there.
Yeah, we used to go over to his house during lunchtime.
That's right.
By the way, the school district, when they have meetings.
I would honestly get out of
They
there.
don't have to open every school in the district and let parents in.
Yeah,
So it's just
I walk across the street.
in charter schools. And that might be helpful, by the way, because there are parents, even the regional offices. It's hard to get board. And there's not enough room at the board of anyone.
Oh, yeah.
The restraining order ahead of me didn't finish till 4:15.
Oh, my God.
So I was waiting till 4:15 when they evaluated just to get my order signed.
Is parking still bad?
Oh, it's terrible.
Against me again? Against me again?
Just do.
Give me away.
Yeah.
Our graduate class.
Yeah. In the school.
The school.
4,000
graduates.
No, it was a 3-year high school. Okay, and we started senior year with like 1,300 kids. By the time senior year ended,
Well, that's what, John said.
yeah, but, oh my God, there's so many kids. Well, my sister, yeah,
Because you're wandering around there.
over 4,000 kids.
I remember
What I don't
high school, early 2000.
I don't think it's something that's negotiable.
Because what happened was Cap got overcrowded.
No, charter school.
They built this school, because Cap got overcrowded.
What?
What took some from
That's
the
air
building?
conditioner.
They changed the
Yeah.
battery on that end.
Oh, please.
Oh, not the kids came here.
The mic's off,
Okay.
it's been off,
Yeah,
that's
they
what's
did.
here.
Right
Still
about
much
that.
there.
The old Haverhill Electric Center. They built brand new neighborhood charter down there. And my God, I don't know how many